back. We're not in the top 10 for nothing. I mean, we've earned it, and we've played a great schedule, and there's no reason missing this team.
Mark Kingston kicks us off this morning. Gamecock baseball in a very familiar spot for the fourth straight SEC series. The Gamecocks dropped the series opener 6-1, the final score last night against number 1 Arkansas. Bill, what did you see last night at Founders Park? A spirited Founders Park there, and a well-played game for Arkansas at least. The Gamecocks a little bit sloppy in the opener from what I could tell.
Yeah, but South Carolina's there, and that thing turned. I need to go back and I'm pulling it up real quick to see exactly what inning it was. But South Carolina's got runners on first and second, no outs. It's a tie ball game, 1-1.
Bottom six.
Bottom six. I thought it was the six. Yeah, Andrew Eiser can't get the bunt down. He pops it up, and Seitler. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. But and then the next play is a double play that ends the inning, and I think that would lead to the top of the seventh, in which the young man for Arkansas would crush the 2-run homer, do what I thought was a perfectly reasonable bat slam. I believe that was a bat flipping slam, but it was perfect. I didn't mind it. It was an intense game at that point. It was a lot of fun to watch. Thomas Farr had it rolling. Obviously, it was 3 runs in the seventh there that really put the game away. But South Carolina's in position to take control of that game in the bottom of the sixth. Maybe some of it this morning is the debate. I'm not a baseball manager. I don't like bunting in those situations, but Tim, you played college baseball. I'm sure maybe some other people will weigh in this morning. I thought that was the turning point in the game. South Carolina's got all the momentum, had a great opportunity. It felt like they had Arkansas on the ropes. They let them off the ropes, and then Robert Moore crushes his second homer of the game and really just completely changed the direction of the ballgame.
You may not be a baseball manager, but you're sounding an awful lot like the Carolina coach, Mark Kingston, in his post-game comments. He mentioned that's exactly what he thought the turning point was as well. Josiah Seitler popping that bunt up, and Arkansas kind of regaining the momentum at the end of the sixth and then using that moving forward in the seventh. He did give extended comments afterwards explaining his reasoning for bunting Josiah Seitler and that runners on first and second with nobody out. Maybe we can let's see. Jen, can we play Mark Kingston's explanation for bunting one of his best hitters, a power guy as well, and Josiah Seitler in that situation?
Got it.
Well, it's pretty simple. It was a 1-1 game. Both teams were having trouble scoring. Left on left matchup. It's pretty easy decision to get the bunt there. Try to get second and third. Burgess puts the ball in play, and you at least take a 2-1 lead, not a 3-1 lead, and then you're able to go to your bullpen guys at that point, your main bullpen guys, and just didn't happen. Popped it up, and before you knew it, the inning was over, and they grabbed some momentum.
So that's the explanation, and I think it's a perfectly reasonable one. That this is a classic case to me, Bill, and I like hearing Mark Kingston not wavering at all. I think that was one of the issues with Chad Holbrook sometimes when these decisions didn't go well, that I don't think he came out strong enough afterwards immediately and said, nope, it was the right move. It didn't work out, but it was the right move. And I agree with Mark Kingston here completely. Obviously, hindsight, everybody can manage that way. We can all be Friday morning quarterbacks. That doesn't make sense in the baseball analogy, but it was just unfortunate for Carolina lack of execution, in my opinion.
Armchair coaches, I think, is what we are all this morning. And you're right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know the sport and the intricacies well enough to sit here and criticize Mark Kingston's for decision. And on top of that, I'm doing it after it didn't work. If it works and they end up scoring 2 that inning, I'm not talking about how great a decision it was to bunt. I'm talking about how South Carolina was able to take the lead. With that being said, I just not a big fan of it. But again, as he points out in that clip, and hopefully we'll play it again later in the show, because that was the turning point. And you said South Carolina was sloppy. Yeah, they did have the 2 errors. I know that they did have that. But again, it's the bottom of the sixth. South Carolina's right there, man. And you're right. On television, I'm sure people were there that are listening that were there. But on television, you're right. It looked like a fun,
environment. The crowd looked into it. It looked like everybody was really behind the Gamecocks, and that point it looked like South Carolina was going to overcome the early Robert Moore home run and rally to take the lead. And Thomas Farr was owned, man. He was owned, and unfortunately, the bunt doesn't get down. The double play happens next, and then the bottom falls out in the 7th inning, and South Carolina wasn't going to be able to rally. They did only have 2 hits, so it wasn't like the offense was struggling. They were struggling last night. It wasn't like they were rolling along, but yeah, that was certainly the big turning point. And I will say, with 2 games left, a big day of baseball. I told you better gear up for a big Friday. The spring game doesn't get moved to Friday, but you do have the doubleheader today. It does give me hope that this team can play with Arkansas. I maybe come out of last night a little bit more confident in this baseball team, even in a 6-1 loss, because they're right there in the 6th. And that's the sport of baseball. Things turned, the momentum got shifted, and Arkansas is a really, really good baseball team, and they took complete advantage of it. It wouldn't surprise me today if South Carolina is in a similar situation, takes advantage of it, and is able to knot this thing up at 1 game apiece and then go into the nightcap with a chance to win the series.
Interesting. Didn't see that last take coming from Bill Gunter. He always keeps it interesting on the program. You said it looked like fun last night. Hoping to have some fun with you here this morning as well. And yeah, that was the headlining news really coming out of yesterday from an overall standpoint was the moves that were made. It was announced, about 1:30 or so, I believe, yesterday, where the adjustments have been made because of the weather. The Garnet and Black spring game moved to Sunday. The Carolina baseball game that was scheduled for Saturday at about the same time at 4 o'clock. They were going to play that thing originally. That has been moved up to today. 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock are the 2 games, the day-night doubleheader, 1:45 airtime here on 107.5 The Game and 6:45 airtime for today. And then we'll hit the airwaves at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, an hour ahead of that spring game. And we're going to talk some football this morning, not just all baseball, but we'll certainly continue to discuss some of those details from last night's 6-1 loss and where that leaves Carolina today. Now 10-6 in the SEC and a ridiculous still 9-1 in games 2 and 3. You keep that going in a doubleheader against the number 1 team in the country. I think you you continue to make a national reputation for this program and build to the already national reputation that it has. LSU last night winning its series opener against Ole Miss. So something to keep in mind and maybe put you in that same camp as having more confidence in this team even after a loss last night when it comes to Gamecock baseball. But you weighing in, Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Matt, game changer, top of the 6th, 2 on. Arkansas pitcher struggling to find the strike zone. Carolina bunts a pop-up instead of making the pitcher throw strikes. Next inning, Arkansas executes a perfect bunt, scores a run, no play for the Carolina defense. Fundamentals, Matt says. Also, Robert Moore is a blank. I don't know.
Yeah,
do you pronounce blank when you do the ampersand, the A with the at symbol, the number symbol, the money sign? I
think you grumble.
With his bat flips, that is all. To me, they were the bat flip was more than called for or reasonable when the student section is chanting Oompa Loompa when you're up at the plate because Robert Moore might not be the tallest guy, and
look, man, he crushed that ball. Did it hit?
You're talking about the second one, right?
The second one. The first bat flip might have been a little excessive. I wasn't like, but the second one, as a fan of just an intense game, and I think a lot of us have been there before when you get involved in an intense game, and he crushed it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a little emotion in a game.
Again, not only did he crush it,
there is a fine line in that.
It was an 0-2 pitch, and it was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, right?
Yeah, and obviously, as they showed on the replay, it was poorly placed because
just
what they it looked like we wanted it.
Oh, and you could see. Did you notice the dugout as well? You could see pitching coach Skylar Meade in the angle where you just have
I didn't catch that. Yeah.
You just have the ISO of Moore and the bat flip and the whole thing. And as soon as he hit it, you could just see it was because he's got his mask on in the dugout, and you can just see kind of the mask pop up because something was said real quick. And after the game, Thomas Farr just said he just didn't get it up where he wanted it. And it was basically two pitches, that pitch and then the one earlier in the game that Moore also just got over the right field fence as well. Career-long outing for Thomas Farr. This one was kind of an embodiment of what his season has been so far, but maybe even better stuff and a better performance from him. He says he's encouraged by it. He's moving in the right direction. He's gaining some confidence from that outing. If you just look at the final score, you say, well, that doesn't make any sense, but that's the mindset for the first game starter, Thomas Farr, coming out of this one, and it makes a lot of sense. He threw well. And, Bill, I get what you're saying. Arkansas did kind of pile on the hits late, but a lot of that was after Farr had exited, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 7 innings. It was a 3-1 ball game when he left. And what I saw was the Gamecock coaching staff, again, coaching for the war and not the battle here. And Arkansas goes to their best guy out of the bullpen, and Kevin Kopps, and that guy looked, filthy. Just whatever adjective you want to throw in there, that's the highest for a pitcher coming out of the bullpen, and give it to Kevin Kopps last night. Unhittable is what he looked.
That's as good as he looked, because he's not physically imposing. Like, I don't know if people have ever done this. If you've ever seen an athlete and you're like, I'd like to see that in person. Like Randy Johnson, I never saw in person, but to see a guy that size throwing a baseball that hard, I would have liked to have seen it just in person, because I'll be honest, when we did I always call it the celebrity because we were a part of it, but the celebrity baseball game against the Blowfish. Don't shake your head. We were celebrities. I know it was the alumni game, but it was also a celebrity game. But standing there in the dugout and seeing a college pitcher throw it as fast as the guys were for the Blowfish, that was an eye-opener. The last time I played baseball was like Pony League, a little different speed. But last night I sat there and watched Kevin Kopps and thought, man, I'd like to be at the ballpark right now to see the break on those curveballs, to see what batters are seeing, because I don't know if television is doing it justice for just how difficult that looks. 9 batters pitched 3 innings, faced 9 batters, got 9 outs, 6 strikeouts through 34 pitches. That's efficient.
Yeah, a ground out away from an immaculate inning. I think in the 8th there almost had 9 pitches and 3 strikeouts. I think it might have been Andrew Eister who grounded out the shortstop. It was really impressive. Yeah, Travis says if you remember Houston Street when he would come out of the bullpen at Texas, this kid last night was just as nasty and unhittable. Bill, to me, you're right. It wasn't 99 miles an hour like we've seen from other bullpens, and you will see in the SEC. It was 90-ish miles an hour, and then the off speed 88, but it looks exactly the same coming at the batter, and being unable to identify it. Those were the swings that you saw from the Gamecocks. How much Kopps will be able to go, if at all, today? I assume he'll be able to go some, but the Gamecocks will have their frontline guy out of the bullpen, their frontline guys out of the bullpen ready to go today, and 18 innings due. And I saw the tweet from our buddy Jamie Bradford down in the Low Country. What they're doing this by moving the game up from Saturday, they're basically going 27 hours and 27 innings. You started last night at 7 o'clock. Tonight's final game will get over about 10 o'clock, somewhere in there, right? 27 innings of baseball in 27 hours. And the Gamecock pitching staff is built for it. Arkansas's team is built for it as well. I would say the Gamecocks pitching staff in a little bit better position today from what you saw in game number 1, but not a ton. It's still going to take a lot of execution for Carolina to have a big doubleheader like we saw last week against LSU. To me, it's going to be really interesting to see how long it's going to take Carolina to get the offense going today. It took them 7 innings, certainly 6+ innings, to get it going against LSU when they go into that 7th and final inning in Baton Rouge, down 2-0, got the huge two-run doubles to win that ball game 4-2, and then in the series finale it was 9-0. The offense just kept on going. This has been the trend for this year's Gamecock team. It can be slow to get going in a series. Once it does get going, it's kind of watch out and the dam breaks and the floodgates open. So can you do that against Arkansas, I guess is my question. And Arkansas is a bit of an atypical college baseball program right now, or top-line college baseball program, I feel like, because it's not just massively intimidating starting pitching. It's a guy like Cops out of the bullpen kind of leading the way, and how they're engineered. So that's the matchup I'm looking for today. Arkansas pitching versus Gamecock hitters, and who, if anyone, can get it going for Carolina, and can they get it back in gear to where they're going up to the plate confident and producing.
And I think this is one that you can't wait around to the end. Arkansas, if they can put their foot on the throat early and gain momentum and confidence, I mean, this is a good baseball team, and they're number one for a reason. And you're right, their hitters are really good, and that's why I do think you give Thomas Farr a little bit more credit for his performance through 7 innings last night. I think that obviously the Arkansas pitchers are really good, but you're going to have to get something going early here. 1:45 start. Tim, I'll let you do the honors. Are you? I know everybody can listen to it right here on 107.5 The Game, but are you also on the call?
Yeah,
we flip over to the SEC. Yeah, all right, there you go. Big day for Tim Hill, everybody. Have you got bacon going this morning? Have you got the coffee? Are you on charge of 18 hours today?
Just the coffee right now. I mean,
it's 18 innings. I'm sorry, 18
No,
innings.
it's just the 2 o'clock game. I'm just doing the 2 o'clock game. I get the hook.
Okay.
Kip Bachnight will be up at 7 o'clock with Birch Antley will be doing the play-by-play for both games on the SEC Network Plus. But, yeah, looking forward to seeing this thing in person and experiencing the atmosphere, which, again, I thought it was a really good one. Those mostly students that look like over there behind the Arkansas dugout on third base. And they were getting after it, having a good time, especially after the Colin Burgess double down the right field line that scored. Andrew Eister tied things up at 1, and things were in position for the Gamecocks to get a big series opening win, which would have had some of you probably a little nervous this morning, actually, because that has not been the formula for Gamecock baseball here recently to win the series. Now they're in a very familiar spot, but amazingly, 10-6 in SEC play and 1-5 in series openers. The Gamecocks 9-1. And the back 2/3 of these SEC series, they're looking to continue that trend today. Going to let you hear more from Mark Kingston and his post-game comments after last night's 6-1 loss to Arkansas. A lot of conversation this morning will also be about Gamecock football now that we're just a couple of days away from the spring game. It's going to happen, and hopefully with some good weather after Saturday's rain moves out. Sunday, 2 o'clock. Again, this has been pushed back to yesterday. I thought it was a really informative and interesting media session for both defensive coordinator Clayton White and offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield. We've got the best of what they had to say for you this morning. So stay with us here on the early game. 803-404-6100 is the number, by the way. You can call or text.
And I've got 2 topics we need to get into a little bit. One that might need to be used at Williams-Brice Stadium at times, or maybe even for all Gamecock athletics. Did you see what was used at San Francisco yesterday? Did you see the video last night?
Did not. You gonna let us?
Do you want me to tease it, or would you like to use this in the next segment?
I think you just did.
Oh,
is it
okay.
Worth talking about? It's something that you have to talk about. That's what I'm hearing.
It's something that I would like to bring that up, and I would like to bring up the Tom Brady comments yesterday, because that came across a little bit as a baby that people won't know who to block now that numbers are slightly different.
Fair enough. We'll do that. Who knows where the show will go? It's a Friday. It's been an interesting week in a lot of different ways. Again, the number in the show, if you'd like to call or text, 803-404-6100. Bill's clapping.
I got bacon in the oven. You know what? That was a new thing yesterday, and I did it again today.
Oh,
I'm like, I mean, it's not Travis Tritt. Was it Travis Tritt? He's got rice cooking in the microwave? Isn't that
you got me on that
a 3-day beard he doesn't plan to shave? Well, for me, it's I got bacon cooking in the oven. It doesn't rhyme like Travis Tritt, so it works. But yeah, that'll be our Friday.
Apparently it's karaoke today too. It's the early game. It's 107.5 the game.
Didn't clear out a room.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer.
I'm a process,
You guys are clear.
and we're going to get started day one, advancing this program and making it better.
107.5 The Game.
I know it's cliche, but it's the truth.
You good? Sorry to freak you out there.
No, I saw Jen say something at the very last second, or kind of perturbed, and then wasn't sure. All right.
Man, the Zaquandre White talk has been, that was the most interesting yesterday, but we'll get into it on the show. So, guys, Patrick's feeling a little under the weather this morning, will not be joining us. It's a good thing we didn't have an NFL draft show planned this morning.
Yep. Let me go turn my alarm. I just realized I can hear it. I'm going to turn my alarm off.
Jen is working furiously in the studios, editing the audio right now from those guys. I hear you. Craig says he feels bad for Thomas Farr, pitched his butt off. Yeah, man, giving up that 0-2 home run. Got to give it to Moore. That was a rip. I was surprised in the first home run, he was kind of egging on the fans there in the stand. Apparently, he is that guy. But maybe it helps that he knows Kingston from Team USA. Felt like it would be taken in the right way. I don't know. But man, a massive day today. You win both games today like you did last week, and you go to 12-6 in SEC play with a fifth straight series, 5 out of 6 now, with a slate that includes Vandy, Florida, at LSU, number 1 Arkansas. That would be impressive. You drop both of them today. You drop to 10 and 8, and it's going to be a dogfight to stay 500. No Donut Friday. Attaboy, David. Apparently, it's just bacon day every day now for Bill on the show.
That's right. The delicious way to start the day.
No doubt about that. I'm just jealous that I don't have it.
Did you hear me from the kitchen?
Oh, yeah. Laptop's picking up.
Yeah, I can't. Donuts are hard to get. I mean, unless I buy them on Thursday, which obviously is very possible. But too early to get up and make the donut run here and try and get back for the start of the show. I did do that one time where I worked out before the show. I went to the fitness center here in Lexington, did a workout at 5 a.m. before coming back for the show.
When was this?
That was a while back. I mean, I wasn't living No, I was living here, so it was within the last year. I went and worked out at 5. It went up to Move Fitness and came back. But yeah, it was.
David, can you explain that, sir? I don't understand.
I think he just stays in Lent 365 days a year is what he's saying.
I mean, I think the Easter season in the Catholic Church goes 5 weeks after Easter. Or is that where you're going there? That's what I heard last Sunday.
What was I going to say?
Or you just doing it for health reasons? He's just happy with you and your bacon. All right, got a little
Orthodox. I see.
light
I
here
don't
too.
I don't know what that means. So yeah,
What's
I
that?
saw what was it? Travis, somebody was hitting us up and saying, yeah, the space launch last night. I see a bunch of people took pictures. Somebody sent us a text message on the line that I guess had the I don't know where that's at, maybe over their house is what it looks like of the
Yeah,
space launch.
It wouldn't play on my laptop. Played for you?
No, it looks like a screenshot. I don't. Yeah, I think it's playing. It's playing. It's just not moving. You know, it's playing. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, Travis, I don't know. Krispy Kreme. The thing about Krispy Kreme is because they're fresh made. The thing about Krispy Kreme is they stay fresher longer. Dunkin' Donuts has a very small window of tastiness. Dunkin' Donuts you can use to knock people out after about 18 hours. Yeah, it might have been that second home run. I think hit a tree and kept it from going out of the park, or it might have left the park.
That was a mash.
I mean, when you hit a home run like that in a game like that, you're allowed to slam the bat or do whatever he did.
Thank you for explaining, David. It sounds like that same calendar at 5 weeks after Easter. Jen, let's go with some sound here. Let's do some of the football stuff. Let's do 6.
If we sit back at linebacker and sitting back at 4 yards off the ball the whole time, that's giving the offense 6 and 7 guys to block 4. So football to me is a big old mathematical problem. All right. You're either changing the math or you're not. So, that's kind of my mindset without going too deep into it. But I hope you guys understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, kind of. I think that everybody listening yesterday, well, there were some comments. Your buddy Hale McGranahan said, hey, man, when you mention math, it really scares me. And I think Josh Kendall adding on to that, too, from the media Zoom call. That was the voice of Clayton White, new Carolina defensive coordinator. It was a really interesting comment to me. And we'll certainly continue to talk about the relatively easy math of 6-1 Arkansas over Carolina last night. The number 1 team in the country looked like it last night. Carolina will now have to do what they've been doing this SEC season and win the last 2 games of the series. They're 9-1 in games 2 and 3. So in not in unfamiliar territory. And Mark Kingston, the Carolina coach last night, said no reason not to have confidence. You've been doing it all year. The team's bounced back. Bill, what'd you make of what you just heard from Clayton White, changing the math? And to me, that's the simplest and kind of most effective way I've heard a defensive coordinator talk about what they're trying to do. I feel like we saw the struggle time and time again here in the last few years, especially with the popularity and the prevalence of the RPO in an offense in college football, how it's gained a lot of steam and become the trend here in the last couple of years. I feel like that's what Clayton White is getting at with what we just heard.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hope that they're going to be more aggressive. Again, I don't know of a defensive coordinator that's ever gone to a program and said, well, no, we're going to be a little bit more passive. We're going to sit back. We're going to allow the quarterback to make some decisions. And we think when he makes those decisions, we'll be able to take advantage of them. Everybody wants to force the issue and force the tempo and force the timing of the quarterback. Now you got to get the guys to do it. Does South Carolina have the guys to do it, to be able to bring either pressure straight off of the edge with Jordan Birch or Aaron Sterling or whoever it is, J.J. Barre on the edge? Do you need to bring linebackers and change up, as he's talking about there, the math where you've got 6 guys coming and only 5 guys to block them and speed everything up? How does he go about doing it? I think you'll see more on Sunday from the offense. We'll have a better feel for the offense on Sunday and at least what the concepts, the schemes are going to be, the formations, as opposed to the defense. It's hard for me to believe that they're going to come out and do a whole bunch of blitzing on Sunday in the spring game, not because they're trying to hide it from necessarily from Eastern Illinois or East Carolina or even Georgia in game 3. I just, with the rules of a spring game, I think your defense is a little bit back on its heels. You can't hit the quarterback. You're asking them not to crunch the running back if he runs it. Don't take out a receiver over the middle. Simple stuff that you can kind of do to avoid an injury. And so that probably limits just some of the things Clayton White would probably typically call in a game.
Oh, and Marcus Satterfield, the offensive coordinator on that side of the ball, also mentioning that will be relatively vanilla and they're not going to show everything that they feel like will give them some advantages during the season. That's just the standard kind of stuff in college football. But the reason why that math comment is interesting to me, you kind of touched on it there. And there was another comment about how you defend the RPO these days. The run pass option has become such an offensive advantage. It's now defensive coaches like Clayton White have had a little bit of time, a few years now, I would say, to catch up and figure out how to contain this thing. Bill, it reminds me a lot of the Wildcat back in the day when Auburn and who was that, Cadillac Williams was running the show there, and Ronnie Brown and the whole thing. It was like it was something that was brand new and just confounded defensive coordinators. I think Lorenzo Ward being one of them, or I'll never forget the game against Kentucky. Who was the kid that lit up Kentucky that ran it out of there? Wildcat. You remember? He only JoJo Kemp was the name. All right, we got about the same time there. We're on the same wavelength. He was about that was the only really good games that he had in college. I felt like was against the Gamecocks year after year, but never will forget him. I think he was on the sideline most of his defensive coordinator tenure, or at least at this point, and said, oh, yeah, well, if I was in the press box, I could have told you we need to make one adjustment and we could have stopped that thing. But this is ultimately the RPO is just a dressed up version of the very first iterations of football where the guy who gets the snap is going to run the football, the old single wing offense. But they've dressed it up to be much more complicated than that. And clearly we saw it give Carolina fits. I think, Bill, maybe more from the offensive standpoint is where I will remember the Will Muschamp era, because it felt like opposing defensive coordinators were able to out either game plan or out execute the Gamecock offense time and time again, because you would get a game going, or I feel like we would hear after the game that, yeah, we got the looks that we wanted to get. We just didn't make the plays. Or that's the reason why you didn't see as many runs as you wanted to, because the numbers didn't add up and the box wasn't right, I think is how Muschamp put it. What I heard from Clayton White yesterday is, hey, there are ways that you can get the offense to do what you want them to do. And so the really interesting part about this spring to me, listening to these coaches, is not only am I trying to figure out what Carolina football is going to be, I'm trying to figure out what just happened and why it has gotten us to this point. And I feel like when you get fresh eyes on it, when you get a guy in like Clayton White telling us about what he's done. He's not even talking about what Will Muschamp and Travaris Robinson tried to do, but he's talking about just his experience in football, which is vast, and coming at it. When I hear that from a defensive coordinator, that you can manipulate an offense by what you show them and get them to do what you want them to do, I feel like that's exactly what we saw opposing defenses do to Carolina's offense. Maybe not necessarily last year, but the 2 years prior to that with Brian McClendon running the show as a first-time offensive coordinator. I think that might have been some of his inexperience and a large reason why Carolina never really developed a big-time identity, and it seemed so frustrating game in and game out for the Gamecocks. Am I taking that too far? Am I trying to get a little bit too much information out of what Clayton White said yesterday, or do you see where I'm going with that?
I think a little. You are taking it a little too far. I think it falls on the quarterback. You're asking the quarterback in that situation, obviously, to make the read. And whether it was Jake Bentley or Ryan Helinski maybe for good reason, being a true freshman and having to learn it, certainly making it a little bit more difficult trying to read defenses. But I do understand what Clayton White's saying, and basically saying, hey, look, we can do this. We can put 7 guys, 8 guys, whatever you want to say, in the box, and that's essentially going to eliminate the run portion of the RPO. We're going to force them to pass the ball. Now, you better have defensive backs who can cover and stay with the guys that you're, that are out there that are going to make the pass option the main focus of that particular play. So I understand what he's saying. It sounds kind of like what you should have your defense do, which is study the opposing team and say, okay, this is what they do poorly. This is what we're going to try and force them to do. It felt like Will Muschamp's teams were more reactionary. Like, let's get out there and let's see what's happening and let's change our game plan, as opposed to going out there with a plan. I go back, Perry Orth has told the story on air that I think he's told us both off and on air that was Steve Spurrier offensively. The mindset of Steve Spurrier was, I don't really care what you do well. This is what we do well, and this is what we're going to do, and you have to stop it. Not, well, you're pretty good at this, so we aren't even going to try that play. And I'll, we've heard also Kurt Roper's mentality would be to go into a game and say, well, that defensive back's pretty good, so we're really not going to challenge that guy. We're going to go the other way with it. Well, again, this sounds like what I'm hearing from Clayton White is we're going to go in and we're going to do what we're good at. And if you're as good in defeating us, then we need to make adjustments during the game. But this is what we do. This is what you do poorly. Here's what we're going to do.
I heard that we can stack the box. We can line up to where we are basically goading the offense, if they're an RPO heavy offense, into doing what we think what the traditional math would tell them to do. And then you can make the adjustment after that. It's kind of the old reverse psychology, showing them one thing and then knowing that thing is coming and then making another adjustment for it. Just pretty fascinating to hear from Clayton White yesterday. And it wasn't just that comment, several more. We'll let you hear more from him and offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield as we roll along with the spring game set for 2 p.m. Sunday now. USC Athletics moving it back one day to get around the Saturday rain. That's why you got a doubleheader for Gamecock baseball as well. Let you hear from Mark Kingston and some of what he had to say after the 6-1 loss last night in the series opener. That's coming up next here, 803-404-6100. If you would like to join the show, you can call or text here. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Your 24/7 sports station.
I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good.
107.5 The Game.
Man, yesterday, again, the 1-year-old completely wearing me out around the house. I'm following him around. And the way my house is structured, we can go around in a circle in the family room and the kitchen, and I feel like I'm just going around in circles all day long, following this dude who's picking up stuff off the floor, putting it in his mouth, and that. Fortunately, we've had some help around our house with the floors, and Zero Res has done a great job. Both times they've come out to my house, done a great job cleaning my carpets, an area rug for me, also the tiles in both the kitchen and bathroom, and I know they can do that for you too. You can be like Trey yesterday, had Zero Res out to his house. Zero Res does it differently than anybody else. That's why I appreciate not only the results they've given me, but also I had nothing to worry about when it comes to that 1-year-old wobbling around all over the place because there's no harsh chemicals involved in the cleaning process. It's a patented powered water system that Zero Res uses. They crank up the pH in the water. I don't know how it works exactly when it comes to chemistry, but you can find out all the details at ZeroResColumbia.com. You can also rest easy knowing that there's no leftover soapy residue. That's why your carpets, like mine, will stay cleaner longer. And a great deal for you right now from Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill. 803-262-4020 is the number, ZeroResColumbia.com. You can go online, book your appointment right now. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
From the Shepherd's
So we're waiting on the bacon. Slow cooking.
Slow cooking it. Yep. Yeah, if I was doing it by myself, like if I was fixing breakfast for the kids, I'd have gotten it up to 400, 410, getting those pieces in there and getting them out. But yeah, we got it down around 350. They could have been pulled out right there, but we'll wait. Hour or two will be bacon hour. Bacon and coffee, maybe a little fruit this morning. I don't know if I'll go back to the cake. It was nice to play golf yesterday at 11 o'clock and not like have the shakes or be starving halfway through the round because I didn't eat breakfast or anything. A very consistent round yesterday. I was going to make bogey. It didn't matter what happened. I would miss putts for par that were 3 foot. I would chip in for bogey if I had to. There was 2 pars, 2 double bogeys, and 14 bogeys.
Nice.
So I was pleased. Didn't hit the ball. Drove it well. Putted. Just didn't make some putts, but I hit it all right. I haven't played enough lately to complain with yesterday's round. If I'd been playing a lot, I would be upset. But I'll take. I shot 90. I know it could have been closer to 80. I lipped out, I think, 3 par putts, and then just hit a few bad approach shots. Though it was a little windy yesterday, and I left several. I put 3 of them in the bunker. The one that drove me the most crazy was I was 70 yards out on a par 5 on my 3rd shot and just hit it right over the green. Hit it right over the green, left the chip about 5 feet short, and missed the par putt. Missed the par putt. Just ridiculous. So, was what it was. Levi the dog. We got all kinds of animals around here.
All right. I'm going to do a liner first, Jen, and then some audio.
You got to let me get to my therapy bunny story.
The therapy bunny story.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. I will get there pretty quickly here. Jim would like to do number 2 from Kingston, please. But a liner first. Thank you.
2 after liner.
You got it. I'm getting the rhythm down of this new little audio system too. So if I do a liner before we play the audio, I can do the liner in our mic on the computer and then switch over the audio right before we switch over to our program audio right before you play the sound bite, and then everybody can hear that as well.
Very good.
We don't have to worry about music getting in on the internet. Yeah, Craig, I'm interesting to see.
I can't believe we've done almost a full hour and not a single person has asked us about the new soccer hire.
officially ignoring Bill now. Hey, happy Friday to you. Would love to make your Friday that much better with an extra $100. 10 times a day, Monday through Friday through May 12th. It's 25K workday payday. We will reveal a secret keyword, starts at 8 a.m., goes to 5 p.m. at the top of every hour. The keyword is announced. All you got to do is text that to 95819, and that qualifies you to win $100, plus every winner entered into the drawing for the grand prize jackpot of $25,000. And if you're going to sign up for some stuff or get into a contest, might as well get into Grill Bill as well, sponsored by the South Carolina Pork Board. It's member farmers, IGA food stores, and Camp Chef. Grill Bill, go to our website, 1075thegame.com. Throw in a couple of questions there. Make them fun. Make them creative. Put Bill on the spot. You can join us every Monday for the next couple of weeks on the air and ask those questions. If you're chosen, you get a $50 IGA gift card. Just like that, you also get entered to win a Camp Chef pellet grill worth more than $1,000. Again, that's Grill Bill, sponsored by the South Carolina Pork Board. It's member farmers, IGA food stores, and Camp Chef. Wanted to let you hear now from Mark Kingston talking about last night and his series opening starter in time, who had been struggling a little bit. His head coach impressed with his career-long outing of 7 innings, even though he did give up the 3 runs and the Gamecocks ended up losing the ball game 6-1.
Farr obviously was outstanding tonight. I thought he looked as comfortable and in control of himself as he has all year. We asked him to relax a little bit and not muscle so much. And I thought he looked like he was in complete control for most of the night. But we just need to do a better job offensively. Last hump for us to cross and get over is scoring against elite SEC on Friday nights. And, that's the last piece of the puzzle for us.
Dan in Somerton weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line and has some comments that pertain to Carolina coach Mark Kingston, who just spoke from. Farr pitches a good game. Arkansas batters get too many looks at him. Should have been pulled when he gave up the first hit in the 7th. The next batter homered again when the Arkansas pitcher got in trouble. He was pulled quick. Dave Van Horn, the Arkansas coach, did the right thing. Mark Kingston and Carolina pitching coach Skylar Meade did not. I think we'll see. Robert Moore hit a home run earlier in the game as well. So it wasn't necessarily, I think, seeing Thomas Farr again that was the major advantage.
Well,
got to give Moore a bunch of credit. He hammered a mistake.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a mistake. I mean, it wasn't him figuring out Thomas Farr. Thomas Farr made a big mistake. It's going to be one of those games. South Carolina was there. It's again 1-1, bottom of the 6th, first and second, no outs. They Josiah Seitler can't get the bunt down. The double play happens, and then the top of the 7th happens. And I don't want to lose sight of the big picture that South Carolina was step for step with Arkansas and really had the chance to take control of that game and maybe flip the momentum, and we're having an entirely different conversation. There were some coaching things that certainly we can question. Yeah, what Dan is saying on the text line is right. You could make the case that, yes, Thomas Farr maybe should have been pulled one batter earlier. But I don't know if that necessarily cost them the game. I think Arkansas is a good baseball team. Robert Moore's a good batter. He called a pitch, and he called a bad pitch. Thomas Farr was rolling along. Who's to say that Thomas Farr doesn't throw that ball where it's expected to be? And Robert Moore strikes out, and the very next guy hits into a double play. Tim, I mean, it's just to me, it's one of those things that last night was a few things here and there that happen in a baseball game that determine a winner. I expect South Carolina to bounce back and it to be a very competitive day of baseball, a fun day of baseball. You mentioned it. I think the crowd will be a lot of fun. The thing, though, that they might need, what about if you added a therapy bunny to the stands?
Well, it sounds like Dan might need the therapy bunny to work through that game from last night.
Yeah. What if last night in San Francisco, Alex, the therapy bunny, he is a therapy bunny for Cato, a lady out there, a 32-year-old lady out there in San Francisco who lost a brewery, brought her therapy bunny, Alex, to the ballpark. Apparently this bunny goes everywhere. But yeah, how would you feel about that? You guys, the therapy animals are becoming quite popular now for people to deal with stress. You guys have seen this, right? Jim's shaking your head. You're familiar with it. Tim, you have a look of, are you familiar
the therapy animal?
I'm familiar with the concept. I'm just trying to understand what's going on with this story.
What if we just had some locations throughout Williams-Brice Stadium or throughout Founders Park where just during the game you could swing by, pick up a bunny to pet during the second
45.
things are going wrong, the fifth inning when things are going wrong?
No, I feel like that would go
return
like Anchorman style with Baxter, and you have animals flying all over the place. I think you got to get. That's where you got to get those rooms where you just tear stuff up, right?
That's
We
why you
talked
buy
about that
beer.
before.
the rage room.
Yeah, the
But
rage
see,
room.
no, the beer. Well, no, but Jim, the beer leads to the bad fan list that we had a few weeks
Okay,
ago.
here's what we got. We got 3 separate places, right? Beer, rage room, therapy room. Work it all out. Is that where we are in society in 2021?
Wow.
We need a therapy bunny at these games, man. I think the bunnies are the most relaxing.
Hour number 2 coming up.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia. It's all sports.
I think
all the
we need to
time.
get, maybe we can
107.5
get the therapy
game.
bill out there. Not that they would rub and pet you.
On the head.
Back on
There you
here.
go. I can get on board with that. Let me get my bacon. I need some therapy bacon.
Be a lot of arrests being made, animal cruelty arrests.
Man. Yeah, the first guy that says he wants a lucky rabbit's foot, we're in trouble.
Let me get you that info about the soccer coach here. Why didn't I get that email, or did I? And I don't know where it is. I think I did. Where is it? Maybe my little other folder here. Let's just being a bad host right now. Being a muttering bad host. Tony Annan is his name, the new soccer coach. He comes from Atlanta, where he's been a part of that MLS franchise. A lot of developmental work. 6 years with Atlanta United of the MLS. Coached some U19s and 17s and 14s. And I guess had international success there.
So what makes you want to come to the SEC after all of that?
Well, that's the tricky part about the men's soccer program. I think they're technically College USA. And coming to a place that has only had one soccer coach, I think, is the tricky part there.
Mm-hmm.
Annan's been coaching for 25 years, though. But no college experience that I see, anyway. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. He was an assistant on the U.S. Soccer Men's Paralympic team.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he's from England originally. So this is reverse Ted Lasso, right? The British guy coming to Columbia, South Carolina. Look at that. Is a beautiful picture.
Oh, yeah.
That's a new screenshot if I ever saw one.
That is the last of the bacon here at the house. I got to go to the store today, though.
Nice work on the audio there, Jim.
Yep. It sounds terrible, but that's an engineering issue we'll get to.
Yeah, I think John Whittle, and all you need to know is John Whittle and Jay Phillips are apparently very excited about this hire. So,
and David
I
is
can't hear him cutting out.
David. He's extra bitter.
no, sorry, David.
David is extra bitter at you.
Look away. Look away.
I mean, David, aren't you just going through all of life extra bitter right now, like TV commercials with food? And what exactly have you given up for Lent is my question.
Hopefully not chocolate cake too.
Chocolate covered bacon.
Chocolate covered bacon. Yeah. Delicious.
No, too much.
Never too much, Tim. Never too
Absolutely. There, you can't have too much of a good thing. Therapy
Yeah.
bacon. Well done.
much. That's what I said when I was walking off. I said I had to go get me some therapy bacon.
Chris says it sounds like everything's tasting good. Can't look away. David can't look away.
Delicious. We went the Kona black coffee this morning. Surprisingly, despite
The other coffee.
eating what, about 9 slices of bacon in 2 days, I feel like it's been a healthy end of the week for me.
Good call. We will no longer refer to you then as David. You will just be.
He's the principal. Isn't he the
The
principal? He's our principal. He's the principal.
Yeah. This David will only be Lent or extended Lent and the principal. All right, sounds like Jen is doing some serious typing over there.
Is that what it was? I thought it might be you.
No.
Typing an email to the engineer.
A little therapy keyboard right there. Listen to that thing go. It's like my sister when she used to get angry at the house growing up, then the piano would crank up.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Therapy piano session.
that seriously, that would help me. I'd go sit and play for a while. And that would kind of calm me down.
I do that now with the little 1-year-old keyboard that we have that has the balls pop out and just try to get all
Oh,
the colored balls in the right colored little cylinders. It's fun. Fun little challenge.
I bet.
Round, I'm like, where's the 1-year-old?
Who cares? You're product testing for him.
Are you not impressed that I just got all the colored balls in the right colors? Never is impressed.
Nobody in the family's impressed, not even the 1-year-old.
No, not at all. Sometimes the 6-year-old's impressed. Just usually wants his turn.
Just holds his turn. Yeah. All right, Dad, that's awesome. I think you did a great job. Let me give it a shot.
All right.
Let's see what the weather's supposed to be like today. 37 right now is what it's listed at.
Supposed to be
38.
up to 72 today.
Wow.
Wow.
Heading back in. You're up.
Familiar spot for Gamecock baseball. Losing the series opener for the 4th straight time last night. Now that record in games 2 and 3 in the SEC in the first half combined 9-1 really put to the test today. Day-night doubleheader because of the poor weather in the forecast tomorrow. Basically everything moved from tomorrow. It was Gamecock football spring game at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Now that has been pushed back to 2 o'clock on Sunday at Williams-Brice Stadium. And the baseball game that was originally scheduled, the series finale at 4 o'clock on Saturday, has been moved up to today in a day-night doubleheader. 2 o'clock first pitch in game number 1, 7 o'clock scheduled first pitch for game number 2. We'll have them both for you here on 107.5 The Game, 1:45 and 6:45 airtime set for today. It's a big day, Bill, and what happened in a span of 8 innings last Saturday against Baton Rouge against LSU was huge for the Gamecock baseball team, a team that was struggling offensively and then got a couple of 2-run doubles. Came back to win that first game of the doubleheader 4-2, and then rolled in the game number 2, the series game number 3, and got 2 out of 3 at LSU. Last night, LSU opening up its series against Ole Miss with the win. But what this team has been able to do in those games 2 and 3 in the SEC has been massively impressive But that's kind of how I would describe Arkansas last night as well. Pretty impressive, especially Kevin Kopps out of the bullpen and Robert Moore at
a couple of home runs. Kopps basically unhittable. The Gamecocks have their work cut out for them, as they have in these other SEC series, but never quite like this with the number one team in the country.
You know what else is interesting? I was just thinking about today, because they're not doing this in Major League Baseball. It is a doubleheader with 9-inning games. You know, you've seen Major League Baseball right now. You do the doubleheader at 7-inning games. Typically, you just brought it up when you said that with LSU. You said it was an interesting last 8 innings. You were referring to the 7th inning of Game 1 when South Carolina rallied and then went on to score 9 runs in 7 innings in the second game. That's why it's going to be a long day at the ballpark. If you got tickets to both games, it's going to be a long day for you. I'm guessing they'll do the 2:00 game, clear the stadium, bring everybody back in for the 7:00 game. But for the players itself, man, this is a test. This is kind of fun. It's a day of baseball. I don't know who was able to get the day off, maybe, or work half a day and get down there for the 2:00 game. That might benefit Arkansas just a little bit, not having the full crowd there. Because, again, Tim, one of the things we talked about last night, it looked like a really fun environment. We had Kip Balknight on yesterday. We were talking about the crowd, getting people in there, and it looked like a big time, even though it was only, 3,900 fans, I believe is 33. What it was, 37, 33, okay. So, yeah, even though it was only 33, half of seated capacity, as we read yesterday, the seated capacity, 6,600. So, yeah, half of that, but still looked like a lot of fun. But 9 innings today, it's a baseball marathon, so to speak.
And I understand we've had some of you criticize some decisions that were made, and clearly execution. Rooster P going with sarcasm right off the board here. How about Gamecock baseball following through with execution, concentrating on hitting? Also, would be nice to get a favorable replay call earlier in the show. Maybe the most classic fan text we've ever gotten from Scott. Both video reviews should have went our way, I thought. Well, I understand the play at second base. Wes Clark, man, that was surprising to me, and especially how it was shown on TV, because you had the Arkansas. So if you didn't see it, it was a shot to third base that goes off the third baseman's glove for Arkansas and rolls over into foul territory. And the Arkansas shortstop heads over there, and it looked like, I thought he was going to throw his hand up. Jalen Battles was really smart here, because the ball got kind of underneath the pad that's over there on the wall, and it looked like it might have gotten stuck, but it wasn't stuck. It was just sitting there. And so he just reached down, bare hand, and fired a rope to second. A perfect throw, and I thought Wes Clark had already been in there relatively easily. Unfortunately for him, he was just sliding in, and it was a sweeping tag by the second baseman, Robert Moore, called out on the field. And then on the replay, you could certainly make a case that he never tagged him. It's just that you didn't have that piece of video evidence that showed clearly that there was a gap between the glove and the runner, and it never touched. And yeah, I'm with Dave Neal, who was on the play-by-play last night for the SEC Network. All right, you've seen a few angles. You don't have that video evidence. Moving along. Let's go, man. Let's go. And about 3 or 4 more minutes after that, they moved it along and upheld the call on the field, which I thought they just had to do. I get where Scott's coming from, that you wanted it to go your way. You just didn't have that video, that clear video evidence to make that happen. And unfortunately, where we are in college baseball right now, then you had an extra 3 or 4 minutes to sit there and wait for the umpires to figure that out, and then things got going. But it was a tough night for the Gamecocks, and that's what it's been in games number 1 in the SEC, losing all but one of them so far. And then it's been Carolina coming right back. The decision earlier, Dan and Somerton hit us up and said Arkansas and Dave Van Horn made the right decision getting their starting pitcher out when he did, and Mark Kingston and Skylar Meade did not make the right decision. And then Chaz came right back, and this is a great response to what Dan was saying. The guy, Robert Moore, he's talking about, Dan's take was that Robert Moore hit his second home run because he had seen Thomas Farr a few times through the lineup. Chaz says, the guy was in an 0-2 count. Burgess, and the call was for the fastball to be up, and out and far missed it. I think it was up and in, but it had nothing to do, Chaz continues, with seeing him too many times. He had retired 11 straight or something. Let him ride. Yeah, it was. If you take your starting pitcher, who is your starting first pitcher, right? Your series opening guy, who you're saying to everyone else, he's our guy. And he had gotten 11 guys out, gone a career long into the 7th inning. You give up one hit, and then you're going to say, all right, you're done. That's not what the Carolina baseball program is. It was a 1-1 game at this point. So also, you got to remember, too, you're managing not just for the game, but for the series. And if you take him out and you throw in Brett Carey there, I guess is what you would say, or Andrew Peters, your frontline guys out of the bullpen, well, where are you left in the series? And you got to understand, too, the Gamecocks got 2 hits. Are we leaving that part out? Or how is Carolina going to win the game if they don't score another run? They can't do it. So I think what we've seen in the SEC so far is that Carolina has set things up to win the series. And I know they have the bracelet on 1-0 today, and you certainly got to take care of what you can take care of when you can take care of it and not look too far down the line. But you also have to understand these are 3-game series, and the Gamecocks have won 4 of their first 5 and been in position to win these games 2 and 3 where they're 9-1. I think one of the reasons is how they've managed in game number 1 versus how some of these other coaching staffs have chosen to manage. We'll see if that comes to fruition today. You also got to remember, Bill, Arkansas is going to be on its game number 5 and 6 now for them in 7 days.
Yeah. One of the things that certainly we can look at some managerial decisions last night and say, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. That happens when you lose a game. That's why Mark Kingston makes good money. That's why these guys make good money, because then guys like us who make no money and have never played can sit around and criticize them when their decisions go wrong. But some of it was simple own the field stuff that happened last night. Look, Jeff Heinrich at third base. You just talked about the shortstop for Arkansas throwing the rope to the second baseman to be able to tag Wes Clark. That prevents a Gamecock rally. Jeff Heinrich makes a great play on the line drive with a guy on second base and then kind of hesitates, ends up throwing it wide, allowing the runner to get to third. And then just like Josiah Seitler couldn't get the bunt down that maybe would have given South Carolina an opportunity to score, Arkansas executes a perfect squeeze bunt there, a suicide squeeze or whatever. I see you kind of rolling your lips. You disagree with that? But they get the bunt down. The bottom line is they got the bunt down. Yeah, he didn't get it out, but they get the bunt down. They get the guy to first, but they also score the run. Arkansas did some little things last night. South Carolina, we talk about Kingston decisions, but South Carolina also made some minor mistakes in the field. Obviously, the Thomas Farr pitch was a big mistake. The throw by Heinrich was big, and then not being able to get the bunt down by Seitler. Those are plays that players have to make, that coaches expect your players to make in those situations, and you got to be able to do it.
Justin says, people with no baseball intelligence kill me, shaking my head. Alan says, did Clark stop and have a snack at first base? Hey, I guess you give up some speed to get some power, and a guy's got 15 home runs on the year. I don't think you can complain too much, although certainly has struggled as of late. Matthew from Landrum, I think, asks a very legit question. Why do we keep struggling at third base, he says. It seems like Mark Kingston keeps experimenting there, but it's been extremely inconsistent, and that hurt us big time last night with the bad throw by Heinrich that led to the great bunt. That was a tough play for sure. And you could tell Heinrich was just massively bitter at himself. I think he let one slip, and then he realized, hey, I got to throw my glove over my face if I'm going to start talking like this. And it was just, he was not happy with himself. It was a weird angle, too, because he was playing back the runner from second, like almost stared him down deers in headlight style. And I think the first instinct was to gun him down. And then he realized if he threw it directly to second base, he was going to plunk the runner. And then when he pumped and tried to throw again, it just went all kinds of ugly and got into right field.
It was one of those. I think, Tim, you've played that. I've played a little bit of baseball. Your mind was made up to try and make the play to gun him down. Obviously, the smart decision when he had to take the step back to get the angle to throw it, he should have just ate it and stayed put and let. But he let it go, and it wasn't close. It wasn't close. Who was it? The second baseman had to throw his glove at it.
Yeah, 6'4"
Uh,
Braylon Wimmer, who made an unbelievable play earlier in the game, ranging to his left, sliding, popping right up. Well, Ben McDonald, who's a tall guy himself, doing the color analysis on the SEC Network, was really impressed.
By the way, did you see? I don't know if you watched. They had the Yankees and the Braves on Wednesday night, and I didn't see this when it happened, but it might have been all over television. I just missed it. I guess a couple weeks ago, Freddie Freeman got caught in a rundown at Chicago. Did you see that?
Oh, Frederick.
And the guy yelled at him, Frederick, and he starts laughing like, is that allowed?
Absolutely. Well, that's what happens when you're a veteran first baseman. It was Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs there that was getting on Frederick. And apparently Freddie says that that's what the guys kind of call him around the clubhouse to mess with him, his full name there. Yeah, that was awesome. I thought you were going to talk about how Austin Riley got popped in the chin there on that throw when he was going back.
I saw that too. No, it got me thinking about when you said plunk him when I was playing coach's pitch when I was little. You know, in the neighborhood, you'd play with you'd play with your buddies, and because you didn't have full teams, you'd play where you could, if a guy's going from first to second, because it might be 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, you could throw the ball at them. If you hit them, they're out. So I'm in an actual coach's pitch game chasing down a guy from second base to third base, and I just reared back and smacked him in the back thinking that would work because it was just, ha, gotcha. Yeah. It was only after everybody looked at me I realized, oh, it doesn't work like that. But tough break for the Gamecocks last night, Tim. You heard me. I'm being Mr. Positive this morning. Bacon will do that to you. Bacon coffee, a beautiful Friday morning. South Carolina was right there in the bottom of the sixth. Again, execution. We can debate all we want about whether Mark Kingston should have allowed Josiah Seitler to hit, whether he calling for the bunt was the right decision. We can debate whether he wanted to take Thomas Farr, or he should have taken Thomas Farr out or not. But the bottom line is both of those plays are on the players. I don't think they're on Kingston. You got to get that bunt down in that situation. You got to advance the runners, and Thomas Farr's got to hit his mark there and not throw about a belt-high fastball right in the wheelhouse of Robert Moore. Those are player mistakes, in my opinion, not coaches' mistakes.
Especially when it's an 0-2 count. Asked after the game if he had confidence in Josiah Seitler getting that bunt down. He says, Josiah Seitler is a hitter for us. Every hitter for us bunts every day in practice. I had 100% confidence in him getting the bunt down, which really showed me kind of the expectation that if you're in the lineup at all, you got to be able to get a bunt down when called upon. And it didn't happen for the Gamecocks. It did happen for Arkansas. Kevin says Arkansas is number one for a reason. Sometimes you just chalk it up to they're a good team. Winning this series wasn't going to be easy. However, win that first game today, anything can happen. And, yeah, I think that is the key today, just like it was the key in that LSU series. Once the Gamecocks came back and won that game number 2, all the pressure shifted to the home team, and the momentum was on Carolina's side. You saw a 9-0 whipping in that series finale for Carolina. Feel like if you win game number 1, you got the home crowd behind you. It's a Friday night. It's going to be a fun atmosphere at Founders Park. If it goes the other way, the Arkansas completely playing with house money. It couldn't be looser, and goes for the sweep on the road and tries to make a statement again to just only triple stamp their number 1 ranking in the country for sure. 803-404-6100 is the number into the program. I think that question that Matthew asked was a legit one, by the way, about third base production. I'll be interested to see if Heinrich gets another start today, if it's Brennan Malone, maybe Joe Satterfield. We've seen, like he mentioned, Kingston try several different options. The Gamecocks certainly could use an answer there at third base, and some more production, no doubt, might go a long way into helping get a win today. We got to take a quick break here. We're going to continue to talk baseball. Also, some interesting comments yesterday from both Carolina coordinators, Clayton White on the defensive side. Let's hear from Marcus Satterfield when we come back, the offensive coordinator from Carolina. 803-404-6100. Again, that is the number. You can call or text. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
It's a new year.
Driven
in a new attitude.
I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a famous last name.
It's not some retreads. We're a bunch of guys that I think.
Yeah, Jan, no doubt. And that's the thing. Brennan Malone is a stud, certainly a high school stud, and has just been struggling. I think that has the coaches confused.
Yeah,
And
Satterfield.
you're right about Satterfield.
Yeah, it's back.
Lee, no doubt about that, man. But that's where you got to be fair. Got to be honest when it happens. And this is what drives me nuts about that do games. The ones that don't weigh in on an opinion when it's happening and then criticize it after it happens. Those are the worst analysts ever.
What are you bringing up what Lee said?
Yeah, I'm just saying, even as a fan, you got to be honest, like in the moment when you see Seidler being asked to bunt, either you got to say, I hate this and stick with it, even if he gets it down and it works, or I at least say, I understand this and I think it's the right call. It was the right call, man. And we'll let you hear again what Kingston had to say about it. He said it was a pretty easy call at that point for him. I agree. And
Well,
Khalil's that guy. Either he's hot or he's not. And he's been hot the last few weeks and got up to what, second in the order at the LSU series?
they had 2 hits last night. A lot of them, especially when Cobb came in.
Cops was ridiculous.
Cobbs. Sorry, Cobbs.
Yeah, everybody looked like that against Cops, but everybody this year basically has looked like that against him. No way. I have to look that up. I don't think LB is from the state. I'll have to check out his deal. I think you left out a T there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jan, that's what this team is. Right? It was how many innings? It was 15 plus innings against LSU where you had 1 run on a double play from bases loaded double play. That was it. And then flip the switch. I think you're right. I think LB was from Florida. I'll look it up. Jen, same routine here. Want to do a liner first. And then what do you think was the most interesting thing from Satterfield on the list there?
Me?
Now, I know you don't have the list.
I do.
You have the list of audio?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he sees the list in the chat.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, but
Quarterbacking experience.
Yeah. Go with that. There's a one we like. Go with either 8 or 10. Both of them are interesting topics.
Spoken like a true expert from Bacon Boy Gunter.
All the bacon's gone. Time to move back to the fruit.
thank you, Chris. No, Bill, you're not understanding what Arkansas is then, man. Their best pitcher is Kevin Cox out of the bullpen. Arkansas doesn't have tremendous frontline guys. That's just not how they're made up.
I'll go get more coffee while y'all yell at him. Keep up the work.
Now there was some of that.
Dang.
It's great.
That is true. LSU shortstop was absolutely ridiculous. You were very sad to hear that. That's hilarious. Okay, that's good stuff. Start calling him Taz because he has the Z too. Oh, it's perfect. We will from now on just refer to him as Taz. Oh, nice.
Yeah, somebody's wearing flip flops.
My slippers. They're getting about time to purchase a new pair.
Probably because they're getting slick on the bottom from you not picking your feet up.
Huh?
I said, since you're not picking your feet up, they're probably.
Well, that's because
getting
they're the padding in them has been pressed down, so now they're a little what would you call it, like loose? They're real loose. So yeah, it's time for new slippers. Look, they were $15 slippers. They've lasted for 2.5 years. It's about time for a new pair.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean we weren't going all in on expensive slippers.
No, just swim trunks.
Just swimming. Well, I didn't ever purchase those.
Oh,
I did buy another watch, by the way. In our absence from the studio, I've gotten up to 15 watches.
Justin, I think I might be shaking my head with you. You hit us up a little earlier and said baseball people with no baseball intelligence kill me. SMH. You might not want to listen to the next few comments. Jamie on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. It looked like Josiah Seidler was having a hard time settling under balls in left field, and his misplay late was big too. That was a tough play, man. Ball's going away from him, right at the fence, right off his glove. Yeah, he should have caught it, no doubt. But it was ruled a double for a reason. It wasn't even ruled an error there. And Seidler, not an outfielder by trade. I think he's doing a pretty good job. That's a case where you do sacrifice a little defense for offense, unlike what this anonymous texter is saying. Third base production, he was talking about Matthew's question earlier. What about shortstop production? How do you have the number 5 recruiting class and can't find someone to hit better than 216? I'll take an average glove for a plus bat, but right now we have a great glove with way below average bat. Yeah. And you don't understand baseball. I mean, you got to have a great defensive shortstop to anchor your defense. Point blank, end of sentence, end of story. No, Carolina fans have been completely spoiled, especially the 3-year run where you had Adam Everett, Brian Roberts, and Drew Meyer back in the day. But George Khalil, there's a reason why he's a third-year starter. And I get it. You want a better bat there. He is the shortstop version of Scott Wingo. And Wingo got kind of hot offensively his last year. College World Series most outstanding player from 2011. But George Khalil ain't going anywhere, man. He is who he is. And at shortstop, you got to have the glove. Third base, that's where you need to have the offensive production. You always need to on the corners. That was the comment from earlier. And then another anonymous texter making me shake my head. I don't even know where this came from. We were talking about the environment, and we've been complimentary of the environment. Maybe saying the Oompa Loompa comments to Robert Moore, not necessarily coming off well when he hits 2 home runs. And I think they were still chanting it after the second home run and last at bat. That one you might want to back up off. The anonymous texter Bill says, first of all, you need to get rid of the alcohol. You have a bunch of college kids embarrassing the university. It's called hitting the ball, the texter continues. Barr only gave up 3 runs through 6 innings. 7. South Carolina had multiple chances. Who's the batting coach? Get that guy a therapy bunny, Bill. You passing those out this morning?
I'm telling you, we need those therapy bunnies. So you need to see what's available there with the therapy bunny stand at Founders Park. I like this idea. Check out if you're wondering what we're talking about, check out what the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants didn't do this last night. Somebody
brought a therapy bunny there, and then it was all over. Now the Warriors have invited it. The Golden State Warriors have invited it to come sit courtside. This bunny apparently is all over the place in San Francisco. Alex the bunny.
I promised you some comments from Carolina offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield. Here we go. It's a producer's choice on this one, so not sure exactly what we're going to hear. She's going to surprise all of us. Can't wait for this. Marcus Satterfield, offensive coordinator from Carolina yesterday.
The biggest issue, I think, in any offense is you have to have really strong quarterback play. And we're so young at that position that I know that there's going to be days where we're going to jump off the screen with productivity. And like any young group, it's going to be up and down. There's going to be days and times and parts of a game that you're just going to want to pull your hair out. So that's what that's what keeps me up at night, is just understanding that that's coming. There's a train coming for us. There's going to be a lot of good, but we got to be able to handle and manage the bad and make sure that it's not detrimental to wins and losses.
Man, I'm appreciative of Marcus Satterfield right there. And the way that Shane Beamer is running his program. Just to hear that kind of insight, I think that's exactly what we've missed from Carolina's offensive coordinator the last, 5 years, 4 years, whatever the Will Muschamp era was. And we complained about it often. Not only were there plenty of offensive issues, but we didn't get to hear how the offensive coordinator was seeing it. Just to hear that this is Marcus Satterfield's attitude, and he understands it's going to be a little up and down with having a guy with the inexperience of Luke Doty running the show. I feel like that I can understand now some certain play calls and how things are being maneuvered from the Gamecock offensive perspective, and we're not even into the spring game yet. What'd you hear there, Bill?
I've had this conversation the last few days because as now it looks more and more, I would say pretty certain that Luke Doty is going to be the starting quarterback. Jason Brown might be fourth on the depth chart behind Connor Jordan. Colton Gauthier might be second, just kind of listening and reading tea leaves with the way they're talking and the lack of talking about Jason Brown. But Shane Beamer did say the other night that Luke Doty has really kind of separated himself from the pack. And it is interesting because, he's going to be a freshman again. Luke Doty's going to be a freshman again, or he'll have that extra year of eligibility. I guess he'll be listed as a sophomore technically, but he'll have the COVID year if he wants to ever use it. He still, as Marcus Satterfield said, is a young quarterback, but he was highly thought of. And I think he's got a lot of tools. And I think a lot of people are basing what they saw in the final 2.5 games on what Luke Doty is. And I think he's so much more than that. He just needs development. And kind of, I think Marcus Satterfield summed it up really well, that there's going to probably be plays where Luke Doty does things that really excite you. And then there's going to be that play or two that he has as he's trying to learn. There's a chance for Luke Doty to be a 3 or 4 year starting quarterback. I know a lot of people are concerned about quarterback recruiting and about the quarterback room, but Luke Doty was highly, highly thought of in the recruiting industry. And I don't think you base what he can be on 2.5 games at the end of the year with an offense that was lacking. Remember, he played 2 of those games, or a game and a half, I guess, without Shi Smith. The receivers have got to be better for him this year. I think he's got a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see him develop. I'm excited to see him. Patrick kind of talked about this yesterday, but I'm interested to see him on Sunday in the spring game and what progress it looks like he's made. And then I'm really interested when you get into a real game. I know it'll be Eastern Illinois. South Carolina should beat Eastern Illinois. But what Luke Doty does or looks like when he's allowed to be tackled and when he can really use his legs and make plays scrambling and the whistle doesn't get blown dead because a defender got within 3 yards of him. So I think there's a lot to be excited about there. But what I think you've got to realize is that this is a young quarterback that needs to continue to develop. This is not Deshaun Watson coming in that can make an instant impact, or is that guy who's going to carry a team by himself. He needs the running backs. He needs the offensive line. He needs somebody to step up at wide receiver.
Oh, perfect segue, Bill. We'll hear what Marcus Satterfield had to say about both of those things, both the offensive line. And to me, it's a running back that I'm a bit surprised that he's so excited about, not who I would have thought I would have heard from yesterday from Gamecock offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield. Those comments coming up next. We kick off the second half of the show here. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Hey, we've got a way to help you with that ball for work. You know, when the mute button is on and they can't hear you, you could be listening to 107.5 The Game.
Best part about Friday, besides bacon, definitely besides bacon, best part about Friday is I realize tomorrow morning is Saturday morning and I can sleep in. I can stay in that sleep number bed. I don't have to get up at 5:30. I can continue to sleep as long as I want. And with a sleep number bed, I'm telling you, there are going to be days you don't want to get out of it because it's too comfortable, because you're getting such a great night of sleep. Proven quality sleep. It's life-changing sleep. There's no doubt about it. You're busy each and every day. You're taking kids somewhere. You're dealing with a boss, or you're dealing with workers. You got a lot going on in your life. You need a great night of sleep. One of the best investments you can make is a quality bed that gives you a great night of sleep. And with a sleep number bed, that is exactly what you get. I put my sleep number setting on 45, wake up rested, refreshed, ready to go. It's important with 2 kids doing this radio show, with other things I do in life, to get a great night of sleep. And with a Sleep Number bed, that's exactly what I get. Don't miss the weekend special. Sleep Number is introducing the new Sleep Number 360 P5 smart bed. You can purchase a queen bed right now, $1,799. Plus, special financing, free premium delivery and setup when you add a base. Subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. This deal ends Monday, however, so you need to get over there this weekend and check it out. 2 stores to check out, one in Irmo, Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 Knots Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Sleep is vital to a healthy lifestyle. You need a great bed. Sleep Number will provide it. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
Clinton, 45, that's way too soft. Your back must be killing you. I got to have at least 55.
45, I like it. It's good. I'm excited. Sleep in tomorrow.
Oh, man. These texts crack me up.
It's going to be a nasty, rainy day, I guess.
So Craig, that's all on Bill and Heath are going to be there on Sunday, but I'm guessing you probably don't want to meet up before they're headed to the press box at about 12:30. Yeah, no doubt, Travis. That is brutal. Terrence Clark.
Boy, that's 3 interesting text messages in a row.
Yeah, and what's with their uniform thing?
How'd the baseball
Good
game
luck
go?
trying to block the right people. Come on, Brady. That is just an old man take.
What? Didn't you have a little league game last night? You had to coach him up in?
Oh yeah, 16-3 turned out great. Absolutely hammered. We got whooped.
Oh.
It sounds like a pitching problem. Both
No,
your team and
was my best outing by far. The other coach hit a kid too. It's just baseball.
Are you on the hot seat?
I was going to say, I think we need to live stream one of these games.
That'd be fun.
Then we can judge
proud.
I was proud. I think I made
my best parenting move. Took the kids out for ice cream even after the 16-3 beatdown.
Oh no!
Just your kids or the whole team?
Oh, just my kids. Come on.
Travis, I don't know if you'll be able to walk up and find 2 days. I'm interested to kind of see that if people will be selling them outside. I think you get on. I think
the university said they're still available.
Oh, really? Okay. Well.
Yeah. And they're released yesterday anyway.
Okay. Good. So I guess I haven't looked at a radar. I guess this is just a big storm system moving through here tomorrow. Is that because it's in and out? It's not all weekend.
Yeah, me, man. I don't even look at that mess.
I know. Old
Brussels sprouts and asparagus ice cream is the best, Craig. So Jen, want to come back? I'll do a quick liner, then we'll do Satterfield on the offensive line first, and then I'll lead into a Zaquandre White bite next.
All right, 11 and 10.
And Bill will have to be pretty quick with this segment to get in our fast break.
Yeah. Strawberries are good.
I bet.
We'll have a dieting conversation in the next conversation in the next off air. Some
That would keep people fired up to tune in. All right, guys, we're up.
It's 10 times a day, and it starts in about 20 minutes from now, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Top of each hour, you got a chance to qualify to win $100, our 25K Workday Payday contest, plus every winner entered into the drawing for the grand prize jackpot of $25,000. All you got to do is text the hourly keyword 95819, and right now, all you got to do is sit back and listen to Gamecock football offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield talk about his offensive line heading into the spring game this Sunday.
You can depend on our O-line. They're going to show up and they're going to practice, and they're tough guys, and mentally and physically. And there's too many spring practices in the last 21 years I've been part of where you couldn't even have a spring game because you had 6 O-linemen, and these guys are hurt and they come to work. And I really, 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 really like the direction Coach Atkins has them going. Again, I think we got 7 or 8 guys that are on or above the line in this league.
5.
We can, they're going to allow us again with those running backs to protect those young quarterbacks early on.
Again, Marcus Satterfield on his offensive line. Bill, my only concern in hearing that evaluation would be, all right, that's what you want to hear, I think, from your offensive coordinator about your offensive line. But with the relative lack of experience Marcus Satterfield has in the SEC, how accurate is the evaluation as we sit here in April through spring practice? Maybe the fact that he was the assistant offensive line coach with the Carolina Panthers makes you feel a little bit better about that assessment. He's been around the SEC a little bit, but it's been a little while.
Well, he was at Baylor too. He was at Baylor with Matt Rule. He knows what Power 5 offensive lines look like. He's been obviously in the NFL, so he understands, I think, that position. One thing Will Muschamp, I think, did learn from his days at Florida, because if you remember, he left Florida without a lot of offensive linemen. They were down. I remember being an SEC media day and Jim McElwain taking some shots at him about having to rebuild the numbers. South Carolina does have a lot of people there at the offensive line position to create competition. Offensive line is as developmental a position, I think, as there is in college football. And there's a video. I don't know if you saw it. There's one of those mic'd up videos with Greg Atkins. I don't know when it came out. I watched it last night. I don't know if it got put out.
Just came out yesterday.
So I watched it yesterday or last night. Interesting. And just seeing how Greg Atkins is teaching his guys. Tools in the toolbox is what he kept referring to. Being able to do multiple things to defend pass rushes. So I think you've got a developmental coach there, a guy who, in Greg Atkins, who is more of a technique guy. Tim, I think you were out the week that Patrick and I discussed it. There was a comment made by Justin Turrentine, I believe, Turrentine, the left tackle, and he wasn't trying to take a shot at Eric Wolford, the former offensive line coach, but he said he liked this a little bit better because when you mess up, Greg Atkins doesn't immediately tell you to get out. He walks over and he works with you on your technique and whatever it is you messed up, and you do it again. You continue to do it again. So I think you got the right guy in there. And when you have that many people available to create competition, that probably helps as well. I did see in the video last night that the guy that I know they'd like to have healthy, Ja'Kai Moore, was on crutches, and he was telling him to sprint off the field as well with his crutches. And, a good moment, whether it was done for the camera or whatever, you get Greg saying, telling Ja'Kai Moore, I love you, and then Ja'Kai Moore saying, I love you too, coach. And, a good moment there, at least on camera. But you've got the people there, and you've got experience. Wanham, Gwynn, Turrentine has played a little bit. Jordan Rhodes is back. He's played. Eric Douglas started all the games last year. Jalen Nichols has played. When you get Ja'Kai Moore back, that's 7 guys who've played some significant snaps for the Gamecocks on the offensive line. So you've got people with experience can you get them to pass block? I think we know they can run block. You don't run for 1,000. You don't have a guy run for 1,000 yards and the offensive line not be able to run block. The question will be, can they pass block this year?
A couple of things there. My favorite part about that Greg Atkins video yesterday was kind of the postscript version where they throw up the color bars and then they do all the here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It's just a montage. That apparently that's his thing. Also, that's at the end of that video. Also, I understand what Turnitine's saying there, but you also got to understand that he's gone through probably at the time about 10 practices with Greg Atkins, and it's the spring, and it's a lot easier to have patience, I think, your first spring with a new group as opposed to, hey, it's the middle of the season and mistakes keep being made, or there is a weakness on the line and you got to take care of it. So I get where they're at right now in their kind of evolution. I'll be interested to see how that continues to go down from the player and coach relationship standpoint on the offensive line for the Gamecocks. It's a massively important position, especially with the inexperience at quarterback. But they do have the advantage of having really talented running backs. We know about Kevin Harris, like you mentioned, getting 1,000 yards last year. Now, you got Marshawn Lloyd, who was set to be the starter, I think, last year, and everybody was talking up before he went down with an ACL, and he's coming back, still not full speed yet, but expected to be for preseason practice. Then you have a guy like Zaquandre White, who came in as the number 1 ranked junior college running back and saw some time last year, obviously had ball security issues. Marcus Satterfield telling us yesterday that he had a PowerPoint presentation. He required a PowerPoint presentation about ball security, and he's really been impressed with Zaquandre White at the running back position. Wanted to let you hear that as we go to our final break here in hour number 2. Again, Carolina offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks and new head football coach Shane Beamer, 107.5 The Game.
Today is an absolute dream come true, not just to be a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference, but to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina.
Welcome, Coach.
Talk about, tell you one of the things that we do need to definitely talk about would be Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru with First Palmetto Bank. You need to get in touch with him today, see what he can do, help take care of you. You're looking to lower your monthly mortgage payment. Maybe you want to refinance. Now is the time to do it. Give him a phone call today, 803-719-1005, or you can email him, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. That phone number again, 803-719-1005. Interest rates are low. It's an excellent opportunity to get in touch with Jacob and his team. He's brought along Brian Kovar to help him so they can help more people like you save money, purchase that dream home, or refinance. Don't wait around. Brian wants you to know to not get caught watching the paint dry. It's a Hoosiers reference. Brian's a big Hoosiers fan. I just tell you what he wants me to tell you, because they are helping people save $200, $300, $400 on their monthly mortgage payment, helping people make the dream home purchase that they've been looking for. Call today and find out what you can become approved for. 803-719-1005, or email them, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. It's Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru with First Palmetto Bank. Okay. It's a panic moment there when I couldn't quite remember which endorsement, who starts with a C.
I was trying to get the headline up for you on the.
I thought it was Corley Pool. I don't know why I thought it was Corley, because both start with a C. It was Corley Pool Solution. I was like, I don't think that's right. And I was trying to get it up on our screen here real quick, and I found it. I covered. Ad-libbed for just a second.
What I need to tell you about is okay. Worst feeling there is.
Oh, just kept talking. Sonny, you must be saying something very disappointing if it keeps disappearing. Even YouTube won't let you. Get it in there. I don't think I'm a fan of this Kona coffee.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, it's a little bitter. I might run over today. Today would be a good day. I haven't ordered more coffee for wellness, but I might run over today. I know a bunch of people were telling me about the Black Rifle coffee, so it might be a good time to head over to that shooting range, whatever it is. I know where it's at over in kind of on number 6. I know exactly where it's at, but head over and see if I can get some Black Rifle coffee. Give that a shot. We're trying to get back on. So, do you think as you get older, as you get older, eating like a little breakfast, like I've been doing, is smarter? Or Tim, we used to do that. You know, you kind of got me into doing it the intermittent fasting.
I think it just depends on how your body works, man. I think some people need to eat, and it helps to get it going, and then some people need to stay away and just see what your body does.
Yeah, I don't. I know that one part of it is I need to get myself back in the gym. No breakfast allowed, Mark? Why would no breakfast allowed?
I think he's talking about himself, and he doesn't eat breakfast. Makes sense. That works for him. I hear you. See, I noticed the opposite, that if I don't eat the breakfast, then in my head I switch over to I can eat whatever I want, as much as I want, and that kind of blows the whole intermittent fasting out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit what I've done the last 2 days is not what I typically don't eat breakfast. I don't eat until lunch. But David, how much do you fast though? Like I think Tim convinced me to go on, was it 16? What was it? What did you have? What were you? It was eat at 8 and then not eat again until 11. So was it 8 hours of? This was about 2 years ago when we were still going into studio.
Yeah, you either do 16 hours of not eating. Oh, sorry. It's either 16 and 8 or 18 and 6, right? You have an 8-hour window where you eat or a 6-hour window when you eat. That's how that intermittent fasting works.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Thanks for that info. So it works for David, and it hasn't worked for Chavo. I think that kind of sums it up. I think anybody who tells you it's definitely going to work for you is absolutely full of it.
Well, I think here's the question for those two people: does David work out? And does Chavo work out? Because I think if you fast, part of it is you've got to work out, and I think also it depends on what you eat in that 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever. You know, if you're just loading up on cake and ice cream and
right,
I mean that doesn't really help. I think the best thing is just to eat healthy. I need to get some more fruit. That's why I've tried to eat fruit the last 2 days. Obviously, eating the birthday cake yesterday was more of a gag. I mean, it was delicious, but.
That's a great justification. Hey, I'm doing this for the show, man. Whoa.
That's what I did.
That's who you need to listen to. Good for you, Mark. Unless like 100 pounds is like 10 pounds.
Wow, yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome, man. Jen would like to do Satterfield on Zaquandre White here, straight in. Thank you. Impressive, David. That's what we need, more encouragement from Mark. Yeah, I hear 80% is half the battle.
Overlook the fact that he has not missed one snap of spring ball, and he's carried a ton, and he's got hit a ton, and he always shows up, and he's always there, and he's always dependable. I think just the mental toughness and the physical toughness of a kid like that with that much talent has a chance to show, and again, showcase for you all on Saturdays this next season. But I'm really excited about him, as you can tell.
Marcus Satterfield, Carolina offensive coordinator, talking about the former #1 junior college running back in Zaquandre White, where I think a lot was expected about or from him going into last year. Kevin Harris really dominated the conversation. Marshawn Lloyd was dominating it as well, the true freshman from Delaware, going into preseason practice. And then the ACL injury unfortunately happened, but Harris was so productive, and White did have some ball security issues. What are you expecting out of Zaquandre White after you hear that from Marcus Satterfield?
You know, I think we've seen in the past, we'll get more into this in hour number 3 a little bit, but in the past, you've seen South Carolina need multiple running backs to get through a season. I think the SEC needs that. It sounds like he is a dependable third option, maybe a little bit ahead of Rashad Amos. Certainly a guy that you pull for, man, because it feels like Zaquandre White has dedicated himself to South Carolina, to the team, whether it's having to play defense at the end of last year or whatever, to do what's necessary to help the program.
The live video stream conversation was about diet. How about YouTube live streamer Mark said I was 330 pounds, weigh in today at 228. Atta boy, Mark. Awesome. Hour 3 coming up. Job.
WNKTFM there, Columbia. Total coverage right here. 107.
Oh.
Good for you, sir. And so what about what exactly was the diet change? I think we need to know from that one, Mark. And then how about Sonny, down from 260 to 185?
Good job. Diet is the difference. Yeah. And I think that's the other part. 2 years ago, you can't do it. All these people who say like, oh, I lost, 20 pounds in a month. That's not healthy. You got to
right
from Wendy's for lunch and Rush's for dinner to meat. Yeah, that's a big thing. I try and eat one. Well, I try to eat one, whether it's lunch or dinner. I try to eat one decent sized meal, but then the other one is small. And that's exactly right. Yeah, eating at home, and that saves money too. Lord knows how much you spend on Wendy's and Rush's in a day.
Wow, those are some impressive numbers.
But the key thing is they did it over time. Mark said 330 to 228. He did it since January of 2020. That's really good. I mean, that's taking your time, doing it the right way so that it doesn't come back. And
yep.
I'm with you. There's a lot of different ways. A lot of different ways.
Good for you, Mark.
Look at this. It's a big community over here on my right. That's these comment section. We're all family. There she is.
There's the mother figure of the YouTube live or the YouTube subscribers. Hope you're getting some help from Jen. She gave me the tip about the what do we call that thing, Jen?
Vanity URL.
Yeah, the unique address there. So now you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/1075 the game. I think the C is for custom maybe, or they make you do that.
Oh, could be.
So maybe that will help subscribe or die campaign that is up to 7:30 at last check. Yeah, fine. That's the most important thing for me, man. Just get the dang body moving.
Yep.
My dad was getting upset with me yesterday on the golf course because I'll walk, and if I play, I'll ride in a cart, but there are times that I'll walk from one shot to the next just to get that exercise if you're outside, and apparently that was not suitable golf etiquette. The mild exercise.
Yes, I want to get to the point where I'm only walking with my boys. I want to get them in that habit here coming up soon.
Yeah.
First of all, I need to wear those fools out so they'll sleep at night. But secondly, I need the exercise. And I stink at golf anyway. So the last thing I want to do is drink beer on the golf course, not exercise, not break 100. Perfect.
Yep.
I hear you, Craig. I'm lucky enough to play with my pops every so often. We stink, but it's pretty cool. And I'm trying to get my kids into it, but I'm at that point where I don't want them to play too much golf because they're usually playing more active stuff.
Yeah,
What?
I think
There, Sonny?
at that age, you gotta, especially that's like with Austin. I'm trying to get him to play multiple sports, do multiple things, be outside. But I also don't push him. I bought him. What was it? MLB The Show 2021.
Sorry to hear that, Craig. I know that's tough.
That's tough. Yeah, I played golf with my dad quite a bit. My mom didn't play, so when I played in high school and stuff like that, he'd go out. And he wasn't a great golfer. I think he always liked if I beat him because he just, that was kind of fun for him to say, "Oh, my daughter beat me," which I'm thinking that wouldn't be necessarily. But I don't know. I guess a girl dad.
I think it's the best dad activity because you're actually doing something. You're outside, and you don't have to talk that much, but what you say can be important.
Yeah.
Nice, Joe. Yeah, I try to play with my dad in a tournament once a year as well. Good for you. You put on the tournament. The Burn Foundation. Let us know about that, man. We'll try to get you some more people out there. Let us know when it is, some of those details.
No, Mark, I bought him. He's got a PS4.
Nice. I'm also trying not to teach my kids too much about golf because if I teach them how I play, then they're not going to be very good. I think the advice my brother-in-law went to a PGA tournament one time and was talking to one of the guys. Actually, I forget who it was. I think it might have been David Toms or somebody. Who's like, "Yeah, just get your kids out there, man. Don't coach them when just let them have fun."
Yeah, I'll admit it's gotten to the point now. Like I don't even want to talk to anybody about their golf game when I'm playing. I just want to relax and enjoy it. So, yeah, that was. I don't offer golf advice anymore. I'm not good enough to offer golf advice.
Yeah, same here.
What is that, Sonny? Your dad works for the Golf Channel?
But they don't play golf. That is irony. Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why we probably all listen to Sports Talk Radio to some degree. Probably I know it. My dad usually listens to the show, and our conversation is usually like, "Heard your show, pretty good."
That's not the conversation that I have with my dad. As a matter of fact,
or it's just
my dad just sent me a text message. It said "First Community?" ?
Or sometimes my dad just say, "Yep, listen to the show this morning," and then moves on.
Yeah.
Silence is golden.
Oh wow, yeah, definitely let us help get the word out, and if we can do anything to help raise more money for that, I'm happy to do it, man.
I know who he's talking about. Yeah. All right, we're heading back in.
Jen, let's start with Kingston's last comment there about confidence in the team again. The shortest.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I forget who said something about the Kona coffee, but no, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. But I know they got a bunch of different kinds.
No reason why I wouldn't be confident in this team. They always answer the bell. They always bounce back. We're not in the top 10 for nothing. I mean, we've earned it, and we've played a great schedule, and there's no reason I wouldn't have confidence in this team.
Carolina coach Mark Kingston, after the 6-1 loss in the series opener last night to number 1 Arkansas, that's exactly what I want to hear from a coach, Bill. What about you? I mean, no reason not to. I'm trying to use my logic and reason and just coming out of a strategic game, and that's where the headspace is. And even with that, hey, there's no reason when you're 9-1 in games 2 and 3 combined in the SEC this year why you wouldn't have confidence that that trend can continue even against the unanimous number 1 team in the country in Arkansas that looked like the number 1 team in the country last night at Founders Park. What about you?
Yeah. Sorry, I think we had a technical issue there, and I only caught the last part of
Gotcha.
What do you think?
So I'm just saying, from what you hear from Mark Kingston say, there's no reason not to be confident in his team. That's exactly what I like to hear out of a coach. Is that where you're at as well?
Well, yeah, we've talked about that. Look, I think big picture last night, and I think Mark Kingston views the big picture. Big picture last night, South Carolina had a golden opportunity. You can make the case that they let one get away from them. 1st and 2nd, no outs, bottom of the 6th. It looks like South Carolina's in prime position. They're right there. Look, South Carolina's a good baseball team. Okay? They're a top 20 baseball team. So let's not act. I don't want to come across surprised today and be like, wow, South Carolina's right there with the number 1 team in the country. South Carolina's a pretty good baseball team in their own right. And last night they're in a position to take the lead in the game, to gain the momentum. Maybe at that point you do turn it over. You go for the game 1 win. If you take the lead, maybe you do turn it over to Brett Carey. Maybe you go to an Andrew Peters. I mean, so many things could have changed, but they don't execute properly. You don't get the bunt down. The double play happens. And then the next inning, again, you've got the guy on first. You've got an 0-2 count. You got a chance to build some momentum, get Robert Moore out. Maybe the next guy hits into a double play, and instead what ends up happening, you make a mistake. You make a mistake with a pitch, and Robert Moore capitalizes and crushes it, I think, out of the ballpark. Again, I think it hit a tree or maybe stayed in. And all of a sudden you're down 3-1, and things really kind of unravel from there. But they were in the game. And so I don't want to get kind of as Mark Kingston is saying he's got confidence in his baseball team. He's saying that from the standpoint of he's seen them. He's in the dugout. He sees the body language. He's seen the faces. He sees what they've been able to do when they've lost the first game of the last few series. He knows how they're going to bounce back. I'm saying it from the standpoint of they were there last night. And on the live stream, Hope is saying that her dad would say, well, that's baseball. In a way, I'm kind of going with the same thing. Last night, well, that's baseball. You had your opportunities. You didn't take advantage of them. A really good baseball team had their opportunities. They took advantage of them. And here we sit today with 18 innings of baseball to be played over at Founders Park, and it should be a really fun day and a really competitive day. Look, you said it. If you're waking up this morning and you didn't watch the game and you're listening to us, you're just tuning in, you're going 6-1. Man, South Carolina got blown out of the game. Got blown out. It's a tie ball game. It was a great ball game. Great atmosphere. That was a lot of fun to watch on television last night for 6 full innings. Great. I thought it was a really neat atmosphere. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a pitcher's duel. You were having good. It was just a good, fun baseball game between two teams. One team had an opportunity to take advantage to build a lead. They missed on that opportunity. The other team took advantage, and then things unraveled late. And I think you said it. Wesley Sweat still trying to come back from some off-season injuries. They went to him. Obviously, he got beat around pretty good. And then they go to John Gilreath, and he gives up a run. The score kind of gets away from South Carolina, but they're in the ball game through 7 innings, and unfortunately, it just kind of got away from them.
And Arkansas with the recipe for success there once they did get the lead, or they went to their bullpen earlier. But that was their mindset going in. It's not quite the same as what Carolina does with its pitching rotation. So there has been at least one texter saying that Arkansas's coaches did the right thing, Carolina's coaches did the wrong thing. Well, for game one, I'll give you that. But it's larger than game one, and a 9-1 record in games 2 and games 3 will buy, from my standpoint, a lot of credibility for what Mark Kingston and Skylar Meade, the pitching coach for Carolina, have done so far this year. And Hope says it seems like we say in a lot of different sports for the Gamecocks, Carolina had a golden opportunity. I understand how you feel that way, especially with football and what men's basketball has been the last several years. And I guess you could throw baseball in there kind of. Last year's season cut short at 12-4, but had lost the series to Clemson and to Northwestern. Okay. and then the year before 28-28 record. Certainly, I understand why you could be discouraged. But this year, this baseball team has been back to what Gamecock baseball had been for years and years and years. And today's games will go a long way, much like last week's doubleheader in the series overall at LSU when Carolina came back to win that thing in Baton Rouge. LSU beating Ole Miss last night, by the way, in their series opener. But you got two big-time games today. And this will, in my opinion, Bill, will go a long way in writing the story for both of these seasons. Arkansas will either cement being the number one team in the SEC, going to South Carolina and winning the series, or South Carolina will cement its reputation of that game one doesn't mean a dang thing. If you can win game 2 and 3, you improve to 11-1. You sweep both games today, 11-1. I mean, 9-1 is ridiculous. 11-1, forget about it. It would be one of the strangest trends that I think we have seen in SEC baseball. So, I mean, we're already seeing it. 9-1 in games 2 and 3 through the first half of the season is a strange trend to get success, because that's really hard to do, to succeed in the back 2/3 of SEC series, especially this year when the league is so deep and so talented. You do it against number one Arkansas, and I think even the most pessimistic or kind of beat down Gamecock fan from the last several years of football and basketball especially will have to admit that, hey, this is a really good baseball team. And that path back to the College World Series, where it's been a 9-year drought, seems to be pretty clear if you can have a big day today. And then moving into these other critical series, Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Tennessee still left on the SEC schedule. So it's a fun time for the college baseball season, like you mentioned.
Let me ask you this, because what you just said about succeeding, we've gotten some text messages today about Thomas Farr and some people, not really criticizing his performance last night, because through 6 innings and really one bad pitch in the 7th, you don't take away. He was really good last night against a really good hitting team. But if you want to be ultra positive, you say, well, the reason well, South Carolina doesn't have a Friday night starter. And that's what some of the text messages have been, that Thomas Farr is not a Friday night ace. All right, but then you might want to make the case, the way South Carolina's performed in the final 2 games of the SEC series, that the 2 and the 3 starter are a lot better than most teams' 2 and 3 starter. They might not have a Jack Leiter. Look, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rock are a little bit on a different level. But I think that's the thing you really like today. South Carolina starters are every bit equal to what Arkansas is going to run out there. And then South Carolina's bullpen is still sitting in good shape with Andrew Peters and Brett Carey and a few other guys available to go today at some point. I'm guessing if you get used in game 1, it's going to be really difficult to come back in game 2, right?
Oh, it depends how much.
I guess if you throw maybe.
Yeah, if you're Brett Carey and you throw an inning or 2, I guarantee you'll see Brett Carey in the second game today, assuming he would be in position to come in. Maybe even Andrew Peters as well. It depends how many pitches you throw, I think, Bill, and just the specific instances. But Craig says, I think we have the pitching advantage today for sure. I think you've seen that pretty much throughout the SEC season. And you got to give Thomas Farr some credit in there, at least going 5 innings consistently in the career-long outing yesterday of 7 innings. Does have Carolina in good position today. I'm more interested to see what happens on the other side. What about Kevin Kopps for Arkansas? I think he threw 35-ish pitches last night, somewhere in there. I'll go
34. 34. I was doing the math on it. He threw 34 last night because I was doing the math. Technically, if he'd have thrown, I think you called it immaculate inning. Is that 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts? Is that what I heard you say in hour number 1?
Mm-hmm.
It would have taken, if he struck everybody out, it would have taken 27 pitches, if he'd have rolled through all 9 batters. So I guess you could make the case, striking everybody out, he used 7 extra pitches to work his way through 9 batters.
Yeah, he just
6 strikeouts last night.
Missed that immaculate inning, by the way. There was a ground up for that last out on the 9th pitch, I think, in the 8th inning last night. He was unhittable, but that's what he's been. That's who he is, and that's what Arkansas understands about how they use their pitching rotation. That's why I think it's important. And got a texter in here talking about this is Jason says Friday night problems are not Thomas Farr. He's been great. Carolina has not hit on Friday. So we're talking about game 1 in the series. Last night was Thursday. Take a look at the runs scored on Fridays versus Saturday and Sunday. Games 1 versus games 2 and 3. Joel is the one that I wanted to get in. What would be concerning is this prolonged pattern of offensive disappearance, especially given the top team that they're facing here on out for the rest of the season. Hopefully they can still bounce back as they have shown so far. And that's basically what Mark Kingston said. That's the only thing left for this team to prove, is that they can produce offensively against top line guys. And I would say they kind of did that against Kumar Rocker. They were dead even when he and Farr, I think, got out of the game and got him for a couple of runs. But yeah, game number 1 has been a struggle offensively. But we've also seen that once the team gets things rolling, that it's hard to stop the Carolina lineup, even in SEC play. That's why it's extra important, I think, that you see some offensive production early on in today's game. But I say that, and then I remember last week, it didn't happen until the last inning at LSU, and it was enough for the Gamecocks to get the win. So we'll see how it goes. To me, this is one of the reasons I say Carolina baseball is back to where it used to be. This is what we're used to, Bill. And I think this is what can leave a massive hole in the Carolina fan base, is if you're not in a position like this towards the end of April with the baseball program competing amongst the best in the country. Because even if the Gamecocks lose both games today, they would still be 10-8 in conference play. And above 500 this year in the SEC means you're one of the best teams in the country. And to be where they have been and have so much success in the games 2 and games 3 already shows you that this team is right back there. But, man, when you have a non-NCAA tournament basketball season, when you have a disappointing football season, and then you throw in already in April that you're not amongst one of the best teams in the country or in that conversation or in the mix at all, I think that's when it's real easy for Gamecock fans to get real disappointed real quick. But now you throw in where this baseball team is, you throw in Sunday's spring game, there is plenty of reason to feel better about things at this point. Still a ways to go with baseball season, I understand. Still haven't seen that spring game, but I think there are a lot of reasons for optimism as we sit here today.
I agree with you. I think, and it'll be a fun day. It'll be a fun day, and we'll see how they perform here. 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock tonight. It's going to be a long day at the ballpark, so if you're going out there, I'd suggest bacon. Eat some bacon early on, maybe a little fruit. That's what gets me going each and every day. I'd probably tell you, or the last 2 days. The last 2 days, I shouldn't say every day. That's false advertising right there. The last 2 days. So it's going to be a long day, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And Tim, you get to be on the call for the 2 o'clock game. So we have that to look forward to as well.
Well, I'll be on the old SEC Network Plus video broadcast there. We'll take the radio airtime is 1:45 with Derek Scott and Tommy Moody right here on 107.5 The Game for game number 1, 6:45 for game number 2. This is that rare day-night doubleheader. So we know the game times for both of these things. Doesn't matter how quickly or how long that first game goes. That's how they're setting it up with 9-inning games today. And Hope says she's excited that there are 9 games. She's glad there are 2 9-inning games instead of 7-inning games. I do think that bodes well for the team that has the best pitching staff. I think that is South Carolina with a slight advantage. Arkansas has been really good on the mound. When they're the number 1 team in the country, there's a reason for that. But when you have Arkansas hitting as many home runs as they've hit, leading the country in walks, I think as well. I don't know if more innings is better, but I do know when you're playing at home, I think it makes sense that Hope's coming in with that optimism there. So why don't we do this? Why don't we let Mark Kingston tell us why he decided to bunt Josiah Seitler with runners of first and second, nobody out last night in the 6th inning. You can hear that rationale. And then when we come back, we'll talk a little football, let you hear from one of Carolina's coordinators, Clayton White, on the defensive side of the ball, Marcus Satterfield on the offensive side of the ball, speaking yesterday. A lot of interesting stuff there as well. 803-404-6100 is the number of the show. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Well, it's pretty simple. It was a 1-1 game. Both teams were having scoring. Left-on-left matchup. It's pretty
back up in a minute.
Decision to get the bunt there. Try to get second and third. Burgess puts the ball in play, and you at least take a 2-1 lead not a 3-1 lead. And then you're able to go to your bullpen guys at that point, your main bullpen guys. And just didn't happen, popped it up. And before you knew it, the inning was over and they grabbed some momentum.
The game. The game is
back up
on the air, online, on your phone or tablet, on the app, Alexa, Siri, in your gym locker.
Man, timing's so critical in sports. We just had just reminded of that from last night. I've been reminded about this here recently. Just had a conversation a couple of days ago with Benji Getsy down at Buford Landing because I'm personally right now trying to explore the options. We've grown the family recently. We've probably outgrown the house, and we need to make a move there, trying to figure out exactly what we can do. It's a great time to look at your market options, and Buford Lending is a great place to do it. Buford Lending and Benji Getsy. 843-524-2404 is the number. All Benji does is ask you to give him a call, put him on your list, explore your options. He and Buford Lending, they know with their 25 years experience, they can get you the best deal out there. They are confident in that. And Benji says if they can't, he's happy. He understands why you would go with somebody else. He's happy for you to do that, but it's not going to happen. He's confident in that, and I can tell you I'm confident as well with the numbers that Benji was showing me and where the market is right now. We're talking about 3%, and the whole thing's with a new mortgage. Even if you're refinancing, it's a great time to look into that, and Buford Lending is a great option for you as well. Give Benji Getsy a call down there, 843-524-2404.
from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection.
This bill, dude. So if sweeping Florida doesn't help you with that, Chavo, what if Carolina takes both games today? Are you gonna let that one go? How about make me that deal? If Carolina sweeps Arkansas today, you got to take that one out. You got to let that frustration go from other sports and realize that baseball is different this year. Fair?
Let's see. If Sunny is still on, Sunny, what do you think the water temperature at the ocean is right now? Like, is it good enough where you can get in the water comfortably?
Being at the Outer Banks recently, woo, that was cold. Now I know that's a little different. Typically, down the old Garden City area, it takes about 2-3 weeks in May for it to become comfortable, I would say.
Does it?
Yeah.
It says what do you think is comfortable? It says, if I'm reading this, today's Myrtle Beach Pier 14 sea temperature. Sea temperature would be the temperature of the water, right?
Correct.
66 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not warm, but that's better.
That's chilly, man. No, that's chilly. Yeah, I think to be comfortable, it's got to be pretty dang close to 80.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What the reason I'm asking is I think I want to take the kids to Myrtle Beach next week, next weekend, and stay in Cherry Grove for the weekend. And so, but I don't really want to go if we can't. Like, I don't want to just use the pool. And so I was debating.
So that's cold for water, dude.
Right.
So I wonder if I should tell them we'll wait 2 more weeks. Mid-May, you think it jumps? How quickly do you think the water? You think mid-May?
I'd say late May if you really want it to be comfortable.
I mean, it's not really about me. I'm not the one getting. I'll be honest. Even in June, I'm not a huge hey, let's go wander around in the ocean guy. I think the kids went to the beach back in April and still got in the waves back during spring break. I mean, I'm the proud owner of 2 polar bears basically that have no problem.
Nice.
I think if it raises 4 degrees this week, gets into the 70s, into the low 70s, they might be okay with it. I don't know how a pool would be though.
Yeah, pool you'll be fine.
Well, I would think down there at the place I was, if it was a heated pool, I don't think it's.
I should check the temperature in ours and find out just how cold it is. But let me tell you, I need it to be bath water before I'm getting in it.
Yeah, I'm not as I get older, anything cold is a big no now. Like I don't pools, oceans, weather. I don't.
Yeah, that whole thing of it's that initial and then it'll be fine. No. I don't want to like scream to enjoy.
I would rather sit outside in 100-degree heat in August than I would sit inside in January when it's 35 degrees.
Yeah, same. In high school, sprained the ankle several times, and one of the training methods was the slush bucket. You guys have any experience with a slush bucket?
Yeah. Oh, that's awful. I had a bad sprain, almost a crack in my ankle my senior year.
For the uninitiated, it's like crushed ice in a bucket. Throw it in there, and it goes numb pretty quick. And once you get through that, you're all right. That's how it felt when I hopped in the old Outer Banks. It was like my body.
Oh, really?
That. Oh, this is so cold. You're gonna go numb now. And they go, oh, that's a different kind of cold.
That's stupid cold.
See if it'll tell you. Let's see if there's something Lake Murray water till. Angler Spy. Woo. As of 7 a.m. this morning, the water temperature in Lake Murray is 65 degrees.
Basically the same as the ocean. Huh?
Yeah.
So it is a ways to go before I ever dip my toe in it.
Yeah. Well, and it's sliding rock in February one thing. See, Chris, I used to be that way. I was kind of a fat. I was a fatter guy. I was a little chunky guy. I was much happier in the winter. Now, Bill, what are you trying to sell me on? I'm becoming concerned now.
Never heard of sea worms before in my life.
With hooked jaws?
No, I'm not looking that up. I'll never get in the ocean again.
Yeah, this might be a bad idea to look that up. But he said Department of Natural. Yeah.
I gotta look it up.
I think that's what he just did, Chris.
No, I'm not calling you fat. I was calling me fat. Don't be so sensitive on a Friday morning. Have some bacon.
We all know where that leads.
Hopefully, I might go to the gym today.
We're not saying it's not a real report, Bill.
yeah. He said he doesn't want to look it up because he'll never get back in the ocean.
They look like an earthworm. Ew.
Let's do number 5, please. I'll set it up.
Okay.
Jen, good? Cool.
Yep. I'll pot you guys up this time. What the heck? All right, you guys are up.
1075thegame.com is the place. You can come with me, if you will. Check out Grill Bill, the contest. Sorry.
Wow, that was good. I apologize to interrupt your liner, but I got the very good Tupac reference on that. That was very good.
You can come with us, Bill and I. Well, it would be weird if Bill goes to sign up for Grill Bill. If anybody's going to do that, I can see him stacked there. Grill Bill, sponsored by the South Carolina Pork Board, its member farmers, IGA Food Stores, and Camp Chef. Give you a chance to win a $50 IGA gift card if you qualify to join us on Mondays when we do this weekly segment here for the next few weeks. All you got to do is put in some questions that you want throw Bill's way. Maybe they make him uncomfortable. You get a little creative, then you'll definitely get selected, and that will automatically enter you into the grand prize drawing for a Camp Chef pellet grill worth more than $1,000. That's Grill Bill, sponsored by the South Carolina Pork Board and its member farmers, IGA Food Stores, and Camp Chef. 1075thegame.com, the place to sign up for that. Wanted to let you hear now from South Carolina defensive coordinator Clayton White, who was asked any surprises to him this spring.
I'm just surprised at how hard this whole defense plays. How much they love each other, how much they, as a group, they want to get better. That's the first thing. Starting up front with surprises. I didn't know any of these players, so I'm surprised at how cohesive the defensive line is. JJ, Aaron, Birch, those guys are really good. As far as a true surprise to me was Taka. Taka was a good surprise in his own ways. He's playing multiple positions up front. He's doing a great job. The linebacker, I think Brad Johnson has had a good spring. Devontae Staley, those guys are surprises. In the backfield, you have a local guy and OD, Fortune. He surprises. He shows some physicalities and been able to play multiple positions. It's been a really good spring for a lot of guys. We're proud of how they took this spring and stayed focused and they want to play together. That's the most important.
Interesting comments I thought there from Clayton White, admitting that he wasn't familiar with anybody, basically, on the Carolina roster. So asking him about spring surprises is a little different than asking a more experienced defensive coordinator with his personnel. Bill, what'd you make of what you heard there, going through the list of some of the guys at Carolina on the defensive side of the ball and how Clayton White is seeing them?
I don't know. There's part of me that thinks that's a great thing to not watch any film of the previous season or your players,
because you come in
with
basically with a fresh set of eyes and without any opinions or feelings based on something that wasn't your scheme, that wasn't your teaching, that wasn't your philosophy, and you allow yourself to learn about the guys over the 15 practices of spring practice. The other part, look, Clayton White's coached at Stanford, he's coached at North Carolina State, so I don't think for a second that he's not familiar with what a Power 5. It's different, right? Being at Western Kentucky and being at NC State and Stanford, and seeing defenders at Western Kentucky, seeing linebackers, defensive linemen, secondary, and comparing them to South Carolina. But you do, I mean, I guess I take this as him once again trying to use the media to build confidence in certain players. I really feel like this is more of, he knows that players are going to read about it. This is a great opportunity. He's got more that he talks about. O'Donnell Fortune calls him OD, where he talks about his toughness. He talks about how he got owned to him in a practice one time and how, as he says, OD just turned around and went back out there and just kept competing and didn't sulk, and how coachable he is and how much he loves O'Donnell Fortune and his attitude about being coached up and being able to go and make the next play. So I feel like he's using the media a little bit to give players, to infuse confidence in certain players to take them to another level. And that's something that I think we saw Steve Spurrier do to motivate players at times, to use the media more so to question players, not really build them up, but to push them a little bit harder. But I feel like this is a little bit doing the same thing, just building players up through the media a little bit.
Are we going to be able to determine anything on the defensive side of the ball about progress or maybe philosophy / identity in the spring game I'm talking about this Sunday? Or is it just going to be a spring game and you say, hey, they're not blitzing or showing anything, they don't want to tip any hand, and you're not quite sure what to take away from?
Yeah, I think the ultra positive person will come out of the spring game and be happy probably with some things. But I think it's going to be a lot of us, if the secondary, if David Spalding or Marcellus Dial or O'Donnell Fortune, or I think if Cam Smith plays, and you get your secondary out there and say the receivers have a tough day, can't get open, and Luke Doty's having to run a lot. What I think you end up having then is people go, well, I don't know about the secondary, but the receivers still stink. Like it wasn't because the secondary was good. The receivers we just know aren't very good, and that's a position that's going to have to be flipped through recruiting. So, and then because they can't get close to Luke Doty, they get within 3 yards of him, you're going to blow the whistle so he doesn't get tackled. I don't know if say Jordan Burch comes out and dominates at defensive end, if people are going to maybe give him the credit he should for developing in the offseason and the coaching of Jimmy Lindsey. But then again, there might be some ultra positive people on Monday if the defense comes out based on what they're saying. Also, you got to keep this in mind. What Shane Beamer was saying, and I think they're going to stick to, is having 2 rosters. So you're not having your first team against the second team. You're not having what's left of a third team taking on the second team. It's going to be a mismatched unit. So I think it's hard to see exactly what your starters look like when your top 11 are out there.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense from what we've heard from Shane Beamer about how competition is an integral part of the program and the whole thing. So, yes, let them play. And let one team be a winner. The other team will not have the bragging rights, and go from that perspective. Will be interesting to see exactly how the health of this team is, or how many guys get out there. I know Shane was talking about that. That's kind of a critical factor in his mind at specific position groups, if they can get enough guys healthy enough to play and participate in Sunday's game.
Do you go back? I remember, and I think my father is the one that's told me about this, him and some of his friends, the old Joe Morrison days, where Joe Morrison's spring game, the winning team would get steaks for dinner that night. They'd have a team cookout. The losing team would get like hot dogs.
That's great.
Could you go back to that? Like, you divide them up and you'd be like, all right, tonight we're having a team meal at the ops building, kind of like we saw them do, kind of to cap off spring. He's like, you tell the winning team, hey, you get steaks and potatoes and fried cherry.
It's probably lobster these days, whatever. Right? Steak and lobster. They're probably
maybe I don't know. And then you tell the losing team, hey, you get peanut. And then you tell the losing team, you get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
You guys get the old sandwich, the lunch spread, the sandwich spread. That's it.
You get the lunch buffet. Yeah, there you go. Exactly right. I don't know if you could get away. The NCAA rules nowadays probably prohibit something like that. They'd probably find a rule there that says you can't do that. But just something to. I know Joe Morrison did that because I remember my father telling me about that and some things that they used to do just to create a competitive nature in the spring game and try to get, because I highly doubt, I could be wrong. I highly doubt that on Monday, one player is going to walk by the other, go into class and be like, I got you in the spring game yesterday. My team won, yours didn't. Ha, ha, ha.
You never know, especially with
never know
the way that competition has been stressed. I feel like by this coaching staff, maybe a little bit more than the Will Muschamp coaching staff, or at least more publicly for sure. So those comments yesterday coming out from both defensive coordinator Clayton White and offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield. Interesting to me how Satterfield talked up Zaquandre White and how much he appreciates, I think, what he has brought to this team, not just from an on-field production standpoint, but from an energy and kind of atmosphere standpoint. Is interesting to hear how different coaches kind of take different players, or take 2 different players and new players especially, and how they want to kind of infuse their personality. Also yesterday, at one point, Marcus Satterfield was talking about how much this offense, he hopes it will resemble the Joe Brady LSU offense, but he understands those offenses had weapons all over the place. And the one comment that we played a little bit earlier in the show, Bill, and that stands out to me, is how they're going to have wildly productive times in the offense, and then they're going to have times where he wants to pull his hair out as an offensive coordinator, and that will be the result of having inexperience at quarterback. That one, I think it's hopeful for South Carolina fans who haven't seen wildly productive days very often in the last few years.
Well, I'll tell you what'll solve a lot of this, and it's a simple thing, right? That Will Muschamp never did. During the season, if you hear from Marcus Satterfield after a game, and not just the starting quarterback, because that was the thing that I think would drive a lot of us crazy. You trot Jake Bentley out there to talk about your offense, but I don't know, maybe Brian McClendon or Kurt Roper had a plan that didn't get executed. Maybe there was something there. If Marcus Satterfield, because he is right, you're going to have a quarterback who I think has got a ton of ability and can be a really good quarterback, but is going to have to learn on the job. Connor Shaw had a lot of weapons around him to learn on the job and develop into what he became. He had a really good team around him. but he was allowed to develop because he had some really, really good players around him. Luke Doty, I'm not trying to compare Luke Doty to Connor Shaw. I'm just comparing the time frame of starting. And Luke Doty's going to start in technically what would be his sophomore year after 2.5 games playing quarterback. He's going to need time to develop, but he doesn't have an Alshon Jeffrey out there. He's got a great running game. We'll see how it develops. And I think Luke Doty's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to happen right away in game number 3 on the road at Georgia. And I think that's what you hear Marcus Satterfield talking about. And it'll be interesting after Luke Doty struggles a little bit in the game to hear Marcus Satterfield say, hey, look, we got to work with him on this, or we got to fix that, or here's what we tried to do that he did wrong, and here's how we're going to go about fixing it.
And how he's going to go about kind of structuring the offense around a young quarterback. That you hear what the offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield had to say about that, and one of the position groups he thinks that could help his young quarterback the most, especially early on. So that'll be coming up. We'll give Marcus Satterfield one of the last words on the show. If you would like to have a final comment, you can get in at 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
New year
They're hungry. They're driven.
in a new attitude.
I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a famous last name.
It's not some retreads.
Looks like Jen's having some fun there.
Oh, is that why she's not on the live stream?
Sorry, what'd you say, Bill?
Is that why she's not on the live stream?
Because Ed is in there. Oh, sorry,
No.
I'm watching it. She is extra busy.
Gotcha.
And Ed shows up in a mask and freaks me out, and so I just
Yeah,
take it off.
you see that comment, Jim? Yeah, I'd heard that. That's interesting. That is an interesting idea. I didn't know that about separating them that week into two teams, two separate teams that week. That does sound fun.
Yeah, and in classic fashion, RJ on the text line, Bill, that was Danny Ford who did that long ago. Only Danny Ford. It was probably every college football coach from about 1965, whenever they started spring games, to about 1990.
Yeah, that was my dad, big Gamecock donor, telling me stories about Danny Ford and Clemson. Makes sense. It's the way it worked around our house.
No, just that it's unique to one program or the other.
Yeah.
RJ,
I didn't know it,
the
but
whole
Danny
Gamecocks.
Ford invented steaks. Did you know that? Clemson invented the steak. They were all looking at a cow. They were all looking at a cow and was like, "Ah, that looks like a delicious animal. We should really give that one a try."
Well, a butcher can put his head up. Wow, what's going on Twitter here? It's all about what would you rather have people do this afternoon? Listen to your station or watch and listen to you? Oh, Joel's talking about being on SEC Network Plus. Definitely listen to the station, Joel. That was Joel on Twitter sent me that.
Is there anything I should try to mess with Heath on during the spring game on Sunday?
Yes, everything.
Instead of a wow play at some point, I'd be like, "Oh, Heath, that was a meow play."
No, you should try to plug the YouTube live stream as much as possible. Just talk about, don't even mention that you're on the air or for the morning show. Just talk about when we were doing that YouTube live stream earlier this week. I've been talking about with the other live streamers. We've been having a great conversation on the live stream.
I'll make sure. Live stream plugging. Yep, we'll do that. Okay.
You know, you can go back and check it out on YouTube. All the shows are archived there.
Oh, well, yeah.
Wednesday episode, Heath. It's a really good one.
I can bring that up when Luke Doty makes a play or something and just be like, yeah, that was exactly what we talked about on the live stream on YouTube. Make sure you go to 107.5 The Game's YouTube page, subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
I think it was about 2.5 hours in on Friday's episode. Probably want to go check it out there. You know, you can watch the whole thing. Just see it.
I'll show up.
Started.
I'll show up. Finally, I'll lose it. I'll show up with a black eye on the live stream on Monday.
That'd be awesome. Sorry, Jen took you off the live stream there for a second. Saw Ed and all the activity, and his mask was freaking me out. The mask man lurking behind you, like, oh, I can't handle that.
Yeah. I think we got our problem fixed, so that's good.
That is good. Why we had to do it during the show, I don't know.
He that one day, I know people don't remember this. Patrick does, but he got so agitated off air when we were doing the pregame show out at the Gamecock Park with the Luke Bryan "Country Girl Shake It for Me," and started singing it and did his fake Luke Bryan. I mean, just so angry at Luke Bryan. I miss that, being able to be out there with him this past year for the pregame shows. I look forward to that next year. So, Tim, what did you tell me yesterday? 1 to 4, we're doing a 1 hour pregame show?
Yes, sir.
So, everybody, 1 hour pregame show for the spring game on Sunday.
I think a lot of that will be, I believe Heath recorded an interview with Shane Beamer yesterday.
Okay. Cool. All right, there you go. So
a lot of that should be that.
Coming home from church, or you're not able to, you can flip over on Sunday, 107.5. You can flip over to the radio station, and Heath and I will be on at 1 o'clock for some pregame coverage.
And then you guys are welcome to go kind of as long as it goes, but I just have it scheduled before.
Okay. Well, that means Heath may try to make it a radiothon.
I think if you don't go to 7 p.m., then you're clearly just wussing out.
Yep.
Jen, you didn't miss anything. I'm hoping to play number 9 when we come back.
Okay, straight in.
No, I'll do a liner first and try to switch over the audio this time on time.
Although you better calm down on your Luke Bryan dislike. Luke Bryan.
I'm with you. Chava.
No. Mm-mm.
He's the one on American Idol now?
I think he's on American Idol, yeah.
I can't keep track.
Mark, we're not doing well with our Dogecoin. It's going downhill. Do we keep investing? Bro Country, that's right. FGL, Luke Bryan, little Jason Aldean.
If you're listening or watching a baseball this afternoon and you feel like you got to get – this is what I would really respect, by the way. You see the Gamecocks and they decide to bunt at a critical moment, and as it's happening, you call up 803-978-6654, and you say, Mark Kingston is doing absolutely the wrong thing.
Oh.
And then if it works, you call back and you say, I was absolutely wrong. Or you say, nope, I still believe that was the wrong thing, but it happened to work out well for the Gamecocks. I will live and die by my percentages and the whole thing. That's when I have respect for a take. Not after the fact where it doesn't work out. You say, oh, that was a dumb idea. We all get that. But that's what the Hot Take Hotline is for, just to get stuff out there. 978-6654. By the way, again, the number, the Hot Take Hotline there for you 24/7, sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Let's get down to Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Right now, wanted to let you hear from Marcus Satterfield, the Carolina offensive coordinator, speaking to the media in a Zoom call yesterday. The running back is going to be especially important, he says, and not just in the run game early on in this 2021 season for the Carolina offense.
We will rely on them heavily for production in the pass game, whether it be screens, quick passing game, get them out and play action pass, like all the little nuances of passing game they put in. We're going to maximize them and lean on them early. I mean, what helps a young quarterback? A good run game, a good running back, a 5-yard check down that turns into 20. Screen passes, getting the ball out of his hands. So, they're crucial and vital in our success early on, in my opinion.
I mean, that's football 101 to a large degree, Bill, but I think that's exactly what Gamecock fans want to hear from their offensive coordinator right now, knowing that the wide receivers underperformed last year in a big way, and no one is returning with a clear track record of being a number one, even a number two receiver in the SEC, really. And then you got guys in the backfield. You got a guy in Kevin Harris who went for more than 1,000 yards last year running. You got a guy like Marshawn Lloyd, who seems to offer all the skills necessary to be a very productive running back in the SEC. And then you got another guy they're talking about Zaquandre White, and everything that he's shown them in the spring seems to check off a lot of boxes as far as the coaching staff having confidence in him to get on the football field. So you add that to a tight end position that does return some production and talent for sure, production with Nick Muse and other talented guys. And then I think you can make a case for an offense that gets going how Carolina needs it to go to win some football games.
Yeah, look, part of it is the wide receivers just catching the football, right? And I don't even know if it's making what Shane Beamer was describing as explosive plays the other day. Some of it's just as simple as catching the football on 3rd and 7 for an 8-yard gain.
Well,
how many times
Bill,
did we see
it's even
drop pass?
It's even simpler than that. First of all, you got to get open. You got to give your quarterback a chance. And I don't think we even saw that a lot of times from anybody else besides Shi Smith last year.
I don't know, man. There were times last year. This is a whole other debate. There were times last year.
Jalen Brooks was wide open a couple of times and just dropped it. You're right.
No, there was a whole other debate that Colin Hill didn't do a good job of looking at other receivers.
Right.
He focused in. I think there was an interception or two he threw early on where that really started to raise questions. But you've got to be able to read the field. And last year it's over. You got a new offensive coordinator. You're going to have a new quarterback. To go to that running game part, obviously you just talked about the 3 running backs. Luke Doty's legs are going to be a big part of this. I know Marcus Satterfield, and I like what they've done, or at least what they're saying they've done. They know Luke Doty can run and make plays. So the focal point of his development as a quarterback this spring has been stay in the pocket. Learn to be a pocket quarterback, because during the season, yes, you'll be able to make plays with your legs when you have to. But right now, don't use your legs to make plays. Learn to be in the pocket. Learn to throw the football. Learn to believe in your offensive line, and hopefully that pays off for him. And if you don't see him running much on Sunday, I wouldn't read too much into it. I don't know how many quarterback runs they're going to do. But what I'm saying is, if a play breaks down and he tries to stay in there and takes a sack because he didn't take off and use his legs, I wouldn't read too much into that, because according to Marcus Satterfield, the focal point for him is to learn to be a passing quarterback right now and develop that part of your skill set for the season.
Oh, it's the dumbest thing ever in a spring game to watch the quarterback run when the rule is you can't tackle the quarterback. And then you hear the crowd cheering that, oh, he breaks off a big run. Here's a big play. Like, the defense had to stop, had to not tackle the guy, had to not. It's against the rules to hit him. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the interesting part about Sunday's spring game, and now that they moved it back, whether or not an issue, I think that's a smart move for sure. I said yesterday, spring game's all about giving the fans something to feel good about the program. And just having a new coaching staff will do that already, right? Just seeing different guys out there and not having Will Muschamp baggage, not bringing that with you, or bringing that with you and not having to see him and deal with that situation. That's a good first step. But the second step is you want to see some reasons for optimism for the 2021 season in a couple of different ways on both sides of the ball. How you make that happen, I think, will be the interesting part of Sunday at 2:00.
I'll say this. One other thing is watching Shane Beamer be a head coach. It's been 23 years, 20 longer than that. When did Brad Scott take over? 94, 93? So you're talking 27 years since we've seen a first-time head coach in Columbia. Obviously, Holtz had been a head coach. But watching Shane Beamer control the team as a whole is going to be kind of interesting to me. How he looks as a head coach in that position. Whether you liked Will Muschamp or not, you did see him do it at Florida. So the results weren't good, but you'd seen him be a head coach. Watching Shane in that environment, that'll be the first time he's a head coach. I guess he did one interim game for his father in a bowl game. But watching him be a head coach on Saturday, in control of everything, offense, defense, coaches, even referees. We'll see if they mic him up I think that'll be kind of interesting. The SEC Network Plus broadcast, if they're able to mic him up and listen to him coach a game a little bit, I think that's all something that I'm interested to see.
And you'll be able to listen to Heath Klein interview Shane Beamer. That'll be before the 2:00 kickoff of the spring game. 1:00 is when Bill and Heath will kick off our coverage. And during that 1 hour pregame show, you'll be able to hear that interview between Heath and Shane Beamer. And be interested to hear what Shane can say there that he hasn't already said. And then what Heath can get out of him. You know, he always can go back in the Wayback Machine pretty well, and his experience probably when he was assistant coach with Steve Spurrier. See if we get another Steve Spurrier story out of that Heath Klein and Shane Beamer interview. Today's been interesting because we've been balancing it, Bill, the football and baseball conversation. And, man, what an 18 innings we have on tap for ourselves today with number 1 Arkansas in the day-night doubleheader. Again, 2:00 game 1 and 7:00 game 2. You going to be able to make it through 18 innings of baseball, Bill?
I had my bacon this morning, some strawberries. I'm excited. I'll tell you one other thing.
15.
Who's the celebrity wide receiver? You got to think the sideline play is going to be put into effect by Shane Beamer.
Shane Beamer says no, that was a Spurrier thing. Maybe it'll be a new Beamer thing on Sunday.
Oh.
Thanks for listening to the Arizona
Celebrity kicker.
This is South Carolina head football coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM East.
Be the worst spring gag ever, right? Bring like Dawn Staley out there, everybody's cheering, and then you kick it. Those terrible kick contests that go where they kick like 4 yards sideways.
That should have been what I didn't hear that about I didn't catch that part. I guess he said that on Thursday night, maybe.
I think that was whenever he did his last media thing, maybe Thursday afternoon or no Wednesday afternoon.
Okay, I missed that one.
It's gonna be Bill. He's just trying to tease us.
I'd drop it. I'd be too nervous. I'd be like Spurrier. I'd drop it.
Yeah.
Spurrier's got nothing to do. You could bring him back and let him try to atone for his missed catch 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Chavo, I think you're misreading the Spurrier questions. The last Spurrier story came up. It wasn't a golf story. It was a football story about how Spurrier was getting on Beamer about a roughing the punter call and just wouldn't let it go and roasted him right in front of the media boys. Those things stuck with Shane, and you can tell. and payback time, maybe.
That's right. I've got the mic now.
All right, live streamers, nice work today. That was fun.
Yeah. Good discussion all the way around.
He was asked for a golf story. Okay. Yeah, no, he mentioned that his golf story is like his go-to Spurrier story, I think. David, you as well. Nice work on the weight loss for you and Sonny and Mark and Mike or Mark as well. You guys, that was impressive stuff, man.
Good job.
Good for you making the trip to the spring game, Sonny.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Have a bunch to talk about for sure.
Take care.
You guys.